And we'll do a 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. It's another wonderful video where we're going through this little random series where I guess everybody wants to talk about their favorite movies. And this is Tim.
Hi, everybody.
I think some people might know Tim from Dan Reviews It, over
Yes.
with my buddy Dan, reviewing a lot of the Disney movies.
Yes, I am doing the live actions where you're doing the animated ones.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through a lot of the classic Disney animated, and you didn't mind. You're going through all the live action random stuff, which that was like the dedication.
Yeah, at first I was just going to do like the animated ones that you weren't so interested in, like the early
Make music.
Yeah, all those collaborations where like it was like not a full length feature, and then after the first one, Dan's like, "Oh, you want to do the next one?" And it's a live action, and I was like, and then I was like, "Yeah, sure." And then,
well, look, I appreciate that because you got a lot of dedication to it, and you're learning a lot about the history of Disney, so that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I like Disney in general, and I'm watching a lot of movies that I've never seen before, so that's great.
No, that's awesome, and no, that's cool. So, yeah, Tim's a big movie fan, and it's the first time having you on a video, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. And basically, for those that didn't see it, there's another video out there with Dan going through the top 50 movies. We went from 50 up to 6, and apparently this is going to be a thing where a bunch of people get together and talk about their top 5 favorite movies. So
yes,
it's kind of evolved from a random conversation and became a whole project. So
yes,
Tim's here. And really, it's very casual, man. Just go through the list, tell me why you like it, personal reasons, and I'll comment if I've seen it or not. And
okay.
Maybe it'll be an hour or 3 hours. Who knows?
Well, Dan's was 2 hours.
Yeah,
so
I know.
We'll see.
Which, by the way, was longer than I expected, which I should have known better, but you know.
Dan's a talker, but we'll see how long it lasts.
We'll see.
Okay, so number 50 is 1994's Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, okay. I have seen Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it came out when I was a teenager, so like all the gross out humor, all the stupid humor, all worked for me. It hit me. It's part of Jim Carrey's breakout year, '94. He had 3 big movies. It was The Mask, Ace Ventura, and then this was in December of '94. So it was a big year for him.
Okay, so of that one, I guess it's your favorite of the Jim Carrey standouts?
Yeah, it's a standout performance, and I mean, it's paired with Jeff Daniels, who's going against typecasting. He's usually a straight character, and he gets to be funny as well, and he holds his own with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, it's weird. When I always think of Jeff Daniels, I always think of these dramatic roles.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he does so good with that. I'm guessing you didn't like the sequel as much.
No, I didn't like the sequel. I didn't like the prequel. Just this one. It's very quotable. There's a lot of quotes.
And I mean, I have to go a little bit deeper, of course, because we're going personal. So is this just a thing where for you it's mostly like sort of nostalgic because you grew up with it for that time?
I grew up with it. I saw it a lot of times in that era. And I watch it now. It still makes me laugh. It's still funny. Good.
You know, that's one I did enjoy too. I don't think I have as much attachment to it as some people do. Like I know for some people that's up there for like best comedies, and I guess it is for you too. And that's one I didn't grow up with, but I did like it.
Yeah, I mean it was like. It's number 50. There's like a lot of things competing for the last spot on my list, and I mean I thought this was a little bit better than like I thought Tommy Boy was going to be on my list, but I just beat out Tommy Boy.
You know, I've never seen Tommy Boy, and so would that have been the 50 possibly?
That was why I was debating between the two.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah. So next I have 1993's The Sandlot.
You know, I've never seen that. You know, when I was talking to Dan about it before, he thought that would be like in your top 5 or something. Because I guess you talk about it a lot.
Well, I quote it a lot. Okay. You're Killing Me, Smalls is a big quote from it. I mean, I love baseball.
I know that, yeah.
So that's a great thing. I mean, I saw it so many times as a kid. I think my buddy owned it, so it was one of the movies that, like, back when we were in the 90s, like, not many people had that many VHSs. So it would be like every so often we'd watch it. And then it's another coming-of-age story. It's about underdogs as well, so those are 2 things I really like in movies.
Hey, that's cool. We'll see some consistent themes perhaps then.
Yeah. And then number 48, 1993 as well.
Man.
Cool Runnings.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings.
Please elaborate on this one, because that one's been made fun of a bit for some reasons, so I'm here about that.
Well,
so please.
I like true life sports movies.
Sure.
Soft spot in my heart for them. Like Rudy is a great one. things like that. But I also really love the Olympics.
Okay.
I'm really excited coming up in the end of July's Summer Olympics. Got postponed last year, so super excited for that. And it's not something like that you really heard of prior to this about the Jamaican bobsled team.
Yeah, with the sleds, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was something new to me because at that time I wasn't watching the Olympics as much, so I didn't really know the story of the Olympic bobsled team from Jamaica, and it really struck home to me. And, like, during that time, it was another movie that I watched often. John Candy, great. And then Dougie Doug is in it, and I think he's funny as well.
Gotcha. Now, that's one I saw one time. Long time ago. I don't have the best memory of it, but it was a good movie, I think. Very wholesome.
Yeah.
Very wholesome picture.
Very wholesome. Probably one of the first 20 movies I owned on DVD.
Oh, wow.
Back when I was going to start my DVD collection. Nice. I mean, I've stopped my DVD collection because I was...
Is it just Blu-ray now?
Well, no, it's just more things are streaming. It's a lot more access to stuff that you don't really need to own DVDs that much anymore.
But it feels good to own some of your
Yes,
movies.
I mean...
Like, you got Cool Runnings.
I own Cool Runnings, but every now and then I'll buy like maybe one or two a year these days. When in the past I was buying like a lot.
I don't really buy much either, so I totally get it.
Okay, so moving up on for 47, a couple of decades after this. 2012.
2012.
Looper.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes. Another consistent theme of my list is going to be time travel. I really love time travel movies. It's a very original time travel movie as well. It's not something I've really seen before in the time travel genre, about hitmen then having to kill themselves,
sending them back in time to close their loop of their job. That's a really good one. I enjoy that quite a bit. Is that I get? How well do you think Joseph Gordon-Levitt did with his Bruce Willis?
I thought it was pretty damn good. I mean, I have a handful of Bruce Willis movies on my list because he's. I would say he's my favorite actor, but I don't think he's the best actor. He's just really good at certain genre movies, of action movies, and I do have a lot of action movies on here that are Bruce Willis. I like him. He's an okay actor, in my opinion.
Well, a lot of actors like Bruce Willis have a lot of charisma and that presence, and maybe that's me. I agree. I don't know if he's the most diverse actor, though. He's better than I think people give him credit for.
And then he's also not taking the best movies in the last probably 15 years. Every now and then he picks a good one, but he has a lot of directed DVD movies right now. And
again with Looper, Jeff Daniels, right, is the crime boss.
Jeff Daniels is the crime boss, but Joseph Gordon-Levitt's great. Willis is great. Emily Blunt is also great in this movie as well.
The twist with the kid's pretty cool.
Twist with the kids really well, and it's directed by Rainn Johnson, who I'm liking. He did Brick, he did Brothers Bloom, he did the not one of the best Star Wars movies, but he also did Knives Out a couple years ago, and that was the top movie that year for me.
I saw that recently. Great film.
If it was a couple years past, that probably would be on this list as well.
It's very new. I agree.
Number 46, 2008's Tropic Thunder.
Oh, man. You know that one has gotten some reevaluation. Oh, here's the question for you, and I'm sure you know the answer. Could they make Tropic Thunder today?
No. They could not.
Okay. But maybe they missed the point.
I think people watch it these days and they miss the point because it's poking fun at the movie industry in general. There's fake trailers, there's fake ads. You have making fun of Robert Downey Jr. playing Australian, playing an African American, of people being super method actors.
Playing another dude.
Yes.
Very deep in.
Yes. It's ridiculous how people sometimes are method actors. And he makes a comment in the movie that he doesn't break character until he's doing the commentary, and on one of the DVDs, he does the whole commentary in character.
Oh, that's awesome! I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
You want to know something about Tropic Thunder? If nothing else, I do think it's a great comedy. I think that is probably the movie for me that convinced me how good of an actor Robert Downey Jr. is. Just because his commitment to that role was just a demonstration of how talented he really is.
I think if it had been a different year, he would have won supporting actor. He was nominated.
You think they would have done that?
He was nominated.
Oh, wow.
But he lost to Heath Ledger.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yes.
Okay, that's fair.
I think a different year, I would have voted for him if I had a vote in it. But obviously, I was pulling for Heath Ledger.
Yeah, well, I got you. And a couple quick comments before you move on.
Yeah.
Because I got to say this, Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise?
Amazing part.
Amazing part.
And, one of my favorite little bits is actually the commercials at the beginning.
Yeah, commercials are great. I always like fake trailers and commercials. They're always great if they are done right.
Mm-hmm.
But Stiller's great. Jack Black is great.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Cruise, I mean, most of the time you see him playing the action hero type of thing, and so it was nice to see him doing a funny bit role, totally in character, totally almost unrecognizable.
It's maybe in a movie that has a lot of really memorable moments. I think that might be the most memorable for people. Remember that or Robert Downey Jr.?
Probably, yeah.
One of those two.
Yes. Number 45, 2013, another time travel movie, About Time.
Ooh. That's that kind of a romance one.
Time
right?
travel romance. You don't really get many of those, but it's done really well. You have great performances by Rachel McAdams, Donald Gleason, who I don't think I really saw before this, and then after this he kind of like hit his stride with Ex Machina, and then he got a role in Star Wars and other things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I don't think I would have seen this because I saw this in 2013. That was the year that I saw everything that came out in theaters as I could, the most I could see. I was competing against Dan to see who could see the most in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
I wound up seeing about, I don't know, like one for every other day.
Yeah,
whatever that was, like 160 some movies or something like that.
Did have a competition.
180 some movies or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I would have seen this. It was a big surprise.
Okay.
And it was really well done. Time travel, really well done. Romance as well.
I think that, from what I remember about that one, that had a lot of just really touching emotional moments, and the connection between the two of them. And it's, once again, my memory is a little fuzzy about it, but I remember watching it and liking it.
Yeah.
Anything about it that stood out to you specifically that made it so good as a romance time travel?
Well, because, I mean, to call it, I wouldn't really call it a rom-com, because, I mean, it would fit those criteria, but most of the times when you talk about rom-coms, it's a little bit hokey, gimmicky, where this was not. The romance was sound, and then you have this guy learning about his time travel ability of affecting certain things, and then if he went back past to certain things would change that he couldn't change, and then he had a very touching relationship with his dad as well.
I remember that too, and this, not to branch off too much because I'm sure it'll come up again. I know that time travel is like a theme that a lot of people are interested in. I do too. Is there something about time travel movies that really speaks to you, like something about the concept that draws you to them more? Maybe. Just in general? I don't know.
Well, spoilers for my top 5. You'll have some more time travel movies in there.
Well, I know at least one.
Those were early 80s movies, and I think I just got on the time travel bug early.
Just from the exposure to it?
Yeah, exposure to it. I mean, you also have, sadly, Terminator did not make my list, but there's another great time travel. No, T2 almost. It's rewatchability, and T2 is just a little too long.
We talked earlier about Tarantino's length movie.
Yeah.
So the length gets you sometimes.
Length sometimes gets me.
Movie.
I mean,
like, I'm the kind of person I might watch one of those old musicals or like just epics for. I don't care. 4 hours. Yes. I don't care. So but
I mean, I do have some long ones, but I mean, James Cameron is another one of those directors who
never
cuts.
Probably should a little.
Should cut a little bit, but I mean, it's a great movie. It almost got that top 50 spot as well. But
no, not a realist. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but no, that's good though.
There's a lot of time travel movies that I was drawn to that I really liked. So, I mean, there are some bad time travel movies out there, but usually I'll give them a shot, and then. Sometimes they surprise me, like Happy Death Day. That was a great time travel movie. It didn't make my list, but
you know what? Time travel movies, even if they're bad, you can't really say they're not ambitious and they're trying something creative usually.
Yeah. And then just this recent past year, Palm Springs, great time travel movie. If you haven't watched it, you should watch it.
Okay. Guess so.
And a couple years down the line, that's probably going to be bump some things off my list.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So number 44, 1990s Home Alone. So Dan had this on his list.
Yes. Which he was really like nervous about. Like I would give him crap about it or something.
Yeah.
Like that's a favorite movie for a lot of people.
Yeah. So Kevin was 8 in this movie. 1990, I was 8 in this movie.
Oh.
So really connected with it.
Same guy.
It's violent. It's funny at the same time. It's fun. The cast Dan already talked about was great. Pesci, Stern, great Wet Bandits. You have the John Candy cameo, awesome. Culkin was a cute kid. I actually owned the Talk Boy from the second movie.
Really?
Yeah, they sold it.
That's awesome.
And Toy Stories I got for Christmas that year. But I mean, so 2 years later, I was really excited to see the sequel, and I actually I asked that for Christmas. So really connected to that movie. I mean, it's one of those movies that I might not watch it every year, but maybe every Christmas or something like that.
You know, that was one that one of the past Christmases, my girlfriend and I actually watched it again just to put it on for holiday.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, whatever, it's on Disney Plus or something, and it was just fun to watch it again, and it holds up really well. It's like a simple premise, but it's tight and it's just enjoyable.
Yeah,
and no real flaws to
and
it.
the creativity of the traps, of like what he's using. It's obviously things that he had access to. Kids have access to the micro machines on the floor, those type of things. So yeah,
I agree.
It's great. So another repeat from Dan's list: 1988's Beetlejuice for spot 43. Classic Burton. I think it's probably Burton's best for me.
It's up there.
Yeah. I come from a very Halloween family, so Burton-esque movies I do like them.
Appeal to you.
Yeah. And great cast. Dan said you have Keaton, one of Keaton's best performance. You have Alec Baldwin. I don't know if that's Alec Baldwin's best performance, but I do like it.
It's a standout one.
It's a standout one. He's almost unrecognizable these days in that role.
I forget that he's in it. Honestly,
because he doesn't look anything like that now,
and he's not doing the the gimmick he usually does.
Yeah, you have the classic Alec Baldwin voice he has for Boss Baby right now.
Yeah, like that's what I think.
Yeah, and then Gina Davis.
You know what? Do you think she's underrated as an actress, or do you think she's because I feel like she's really good, but I forget a lot about her sometimes, and then I'm like, I'm sad people don't appreciate her as much.
I do appreciate her. I think she had a good early career,
what happened
then
after?
I think Cutthroat Island happened, then after that, she struggled to get roles, and then after that, she was a little bit older and had I think she was the mom in Stuart Little.
That's right.
Yeah,
and that's right.
And then I think she redid her career a little bit on television. Wasn't that Madam Secretary? Was she in that? Or maybe she wasn't in that?
I know she was on Glow.
Was she?
Yeah. She actually, when the girls go to Vegas, she's like the lady helps them there. So she's in Glow now.
Okay.
So I thought she was like, oh, she's back, kind of.
I think she did a show. I forget what it was. It was like a West Wing type of show. It might have been called Madam Secretary.
Let us know in the comments if we don't know what it is.
But I think Cutthroat Island. I mean, I've seen it. I think it's okay.
I don't mind Cutthroat Island.
I don't mind it, but
why do people act like that's the worst thing ever?
Because
it was fine, and it was long.
It's considered a flop because budget went high, didn't bring in much money.
Yes, but you know what? That could be a whole other discussion. Yeah. But I'm one of those people. I guess I'm a Cutthroat Island apologist because I liked it as a kid. I guess it's like on VHS sort of thing. But I know in theaters it was a bomb, which is weird because it's sort of a proto Pirates of the Caribbean thing.
I know.
It's really weird. Like I actually think it's fine. So I don't know.
I think it's fine as well.
I don't think
I remember enjoying it as a kid, but I don't think it made nearly as much money as it needed to. And usually when things bomb, sometimes that sticks to the actors a little bit.
Like, well, maybe part of not the draw, maybe don't have the appeal. It's mean, but there are other factors at play.
Yeah, but I mean, League of Their Own is great. Gina Davis movie.
Need to see it.
Yeah. So going back in time a little bit, 1985's Clue for spot 42.
Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah, it's great. You have Tim Curry, you have Christopher Lloyd,
yes.
You have Michael McKean. It's a fun romp through a classic board game, and it has multiple endings.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get to see this in theaters because it's 85. I was only 3. But they had different endings for different prints in different theaters, and I think that's a classic idea. I mean, that like a unique idea that
not everybody saw the same ending.
Not everybody saw the same ending.
So
on the DVD, if you've seen the DVD version, they'll go through all 3 of all the endings, or like, or this could happen, and they go through a different ending.
That's what I saw.
Yes, that's what I saw. And I think it works that way as well, but to market it as like seeing it as 3 different endings, I thought that was very clever and unique.
Which ending do you prefer?
Probably the one that they end with, the 3rd one.
Same. Yeah. I was fine with that.
Yeah. 41, 1992, repeat from Dan's list, My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny's funny.
Yeah, it's a funny courtroom drama, and it's very realistic. Pesci, Tomei, great. It's very rewatchable.
Yes.
I put it on, I'm like, oh, this is really great still. It surprised me how great it is every time I put it on. It's okay.
Holds up.
Yeah, it holds up. You know everything's going to happen, and you're still entertained by it.
I think that's a movie that has a lot of really great comedic energy, and maybe that's just from a lot of the actors, and Tomei and Pesci just work really well together. Yes. I think their chemistry is really good. I think that maybe is the linchpin.
Yeah.
Really? For the chemistry for everybody, and good writing. It's just... that's a fun one. I need to rewatch it again because I feel like if I watched it again, it probably would come up on the list, but I haven't seen it in a while. But that is a really funny one.
Fun fact, I did not know this until I was researching some stuff.
Okay.
Jonathan Lynn, who directed this movie, was the same director of Clue.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Well, some consistencies there in the list.
So, number 40, 1979's Alien.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a space horror suspense thriller. You have a great world building of these creatures that they've never had before. They set it up really well, of 2 different type of alien creatures, the facehugger and the exoskeleton type thing, the xenomorph.
The xenomorph, yeah.
And then practical effects, really well done. Strong female lead. You don't really get that in movies in 79.
No.
Not until
action heroes.
Yeah. And then I remember watching this. I know when I watched it for the first time. I watched it for a sleepover with my buddy.
Oh, no.
We got it from Blockbuster. My dad was like, "Hey, let's rent this," and I'm like, "Okay." And the vent scene with Dallas and the vents with the flamethrower.
It's there. Turn around.
Movies usually don't scare me, but this one scared me.
Alien's scary.
And it's very suspenseful. Aliens did not make my list. I think that's also a great movie, but it builds off of the world that this one's is, and it takes it and makes it an action movie instead of this, and it's still a great movie.
Sure.
It's probably Cameron's shortest movie.
Yeah.
But Newt's okay.
I was about to say, is it Newt the problem for you? What's
probably Newt is probably the one weak point in this, but I mean,
Dan said, yeah,
probably why it's not higher. Didn't make my list.
Mm-hmm.
But Paxton's great.
Game over, man.
Game over, man. But I mean, they really amped it up. But because
what puts this one over for you a little? Is there something?
The unique alien nature of this,
mm-hmm.
And that it was suspenseful. It was new.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of already have that. You don't really have the scariness,
the suspense of this alien because we know what it is.
You already know what it is. You know what's going to happen. You're like, oh, this facehugger's on this guy. What's going to happen? Okay, and then all of a sudden he seems fine, and then the alien bursts out. You're like, what?
Still gets me.
And then Ash, you don't know he's an android.
Android.
I mean, the white blood milk stuff they have.
I love that effect, by the way. It's a great weird with the android components. Their fuel was milky. Yeah. It's weird.
I mean, Bishop is such a better character.
Great. Lance Anderson's great. Ash is a great. Okay, you know what? This could go off the rails. You know how much I like Aliens, so I was gonna ask. Okay, I'll ask 2 quick questions about it. One's a comment. For me, just to say one good thing about Alien, it is amazing to me. You know much of the practical effects. The practical effects for this movie, from not just the costume of the alien itself, but the design of the ship and everything, it's aged so well. It looks it's some of the best.
Yeah.
It really it's amazing how much it stands out. So just had to say that. But question for you: when you think of Ash, do you think of him as evil? Is he the real villain? Of the company or Ash's motivation? I don't want this to go on too long, but that's a big theoretical alien thing, because you remember the scene where he's like trying to sort of kill Ripley, but kind of doing it in a weird way, and he starts malfunctioning.
Yeah.
Some people have said that might be him trying to go against his programming a little bit. I've always wondered. I was like, that's an interesting idea.
I don't think he's the main villain. Obviously, the alien is. But I mean, it's just the same thing as Paul Reisner from the second one. Like he's like the corporate, like kind of like
we gotta use the alien study. Yeah. The secondary villain.
Secondary villain. Like the jerk that you want to see die.
And he does.
Yeah. So moving on to another monster movie, 2011's Attack the Block.
Wow, I still haven't seen that one.
Yeah. So why I like this one is it's a team of gangs in South London that have to defend their block from an alien invasion.
Mm-hmm.
You usually don't see a group of teens taking on such a big threat of monsters and stuff like that. If so, it's like kind of like the Monster Squad, which is a little hokey and goofy type of thing.
Or they're like adult Marines or something.
Yeah. You don't really have a group of kids doing it.
Interesting. Okay.
You have John Boyega pre-Star Wars in this. You have Jodie Whittaker pre-Doctor Who in this.
Oh, wow.
And it's fun. You have a small role from Nick Frost. And the creatures, they were done very practical as well, with a little bit of CGI added to them to make it a little bit darker and stuff like that.
You almost said that like carefully, like I don't hate all CGI.
No, I don't hate it all. But it holds up. It looks good.
I know almost nothing about that movie. What is the design of the aliens kind of like?
They're like pitch black, like furry type of creatures that their teeth like glow like blue.
Oh, well, that's unique.
Yeah.
Weird. Okay, have to check that one out.
Yeah.
Cool.
38. 2004's Napoleon Dynamite. It's quirky. It's fun. I saw this multiple times in theaters. I was working at a movie theater when this came out as floor staff during college. People said I kind of look like him, and I was him for Halloween. It's very quotable. What do I feel like I want to do? Gosh.
Do you relate to Napoleon's struggles sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, he was an underdog. He was an outcast. He didn't really talk to women that well or girls. Girls only like guys with skills, computer hacking skills, nunchucking skills.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a movie that I don't appreciate until I think about it. I'm like, was that a cult hit immediately, or did that take a while? Because I feel like that
it was a cult hit later. Immediately.
Immediately. So
like,
it wasn't.
It was.
People had. I think there was some backlash. Like, this movie's weird. It's offbeat. Like, I think some people, but everyone I knew growing up liked it.
Yeah. No one knew.
It was
what it was going to be. I worked at a theater in college prior to working in the one in Harrisburg that had 22 screens. So we got some of these independent ones, and that's what one of these we got. So we saw it prior to like it catching its footing, and then it left our theater, and then it came back as well like a couple months later when the mass public started seeing it, and like people that fall semester, everybody was quoting it. That's why I dressed up for Halloween. I had to vote for Pedro's shirt. And I mean, the best part of that movie is the dance scene at the end. It's classic. It's iconic.
And Mom Goes to College.
Yeah. 37, 1996, That Thing You Do. Tom Hanks' directorial debut.
Yeah.
It's a catchy song. It's the fun rise and fall of a one-hit wonder, The Wonders. So, I mean, in the cast, you have Steve Zahn in there. You have a young Charlize Theron as a minor role. You have Liv Tyler in one of her good roles that she has. It's fun.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit more about why you like that one specifically, because I think Dan really likes that one.
Yeah, I don't think he talked about it on his list.
I
think it might be in his top 5.
I think it might be because if I remember correctly, he has put it pretty high in the past. But I know he loves that movie. He loves music industry and the history of it, and I thought it was a good movie. Didn't love it as much as he did. So, what is it about that movie that really speaks to Tim? Like, what about that?
Well, I don't like music as much as Dan does, but the song is very catchy. I kind of drawn to these people who are like kind of have like this small song and then like kind of blows up and they become a hit. It's
based
like,
on that one thing.
Yeah. So
I mean,
it's nice to see like these kind of like small town people kind of break into the industry. Sadly, they are a one-hit wonder, and so the rise and fall of them as well.
Gotcha. It's interesting.
Yeah. Because like I feel like you can relate to them because they're like
it's like they're
everyman type of people. So
and they're striving for it.
I have no musical talent, but I could do that. Like
maybe I could do that one song.
Yeah, maybe I could be a one-hit wonder.
But then you can't repeat it. And you're like the frustration that comes with that. Yeah.
So 1985's The Goonies, which is probably one that Dan thought might be higher on my list. Was 36.
You want to know something? I saw The Goonies for the first time like last year.
Yeah, you probably did not like it as much as I liked it because I saw it as a kid.
I don't dislike the movie. I thought it's another one of those ones that you know how it is when there's a lot of hype on a movie and you hear about it for years, like this is the best thing ever. You see it and it doesn't meet that expectation. I think The Goonies is a little bit like that for me. I thought it was good adventure. It's like a Spielberg produced one.
Spielberg produced it. I think.
Who directed it?
I think.
Is that?
Was it?
Somebody I know.
Is it? It's not. Is it Reiner?
Maybe. It sounds like a Rob Reiner type of.
I think it might be.
But it's got that Spielberg flair to it, and kids were great stuff. We'll probably all talk about. I did like it.
Yeah.
And what's the creature? The guy?
Sloth.
Yeah, I like.
Hey, you guys.
He was a great.
Hey, you guys. Yeah.
He was a great character. Like it was good, but that's when I'm guessing you grew up with it and hit the magic adventure.
It hit the magic adventure of a bunch of misfits on a fun adventure, and for some reason I feel like this was on TV every Thanksgiving. So after my parents watched the parade and we had some downtime before going to like my aunt's house, it'd be on like TBS or something like that. And like I'd watch it. And like so I watched it like repeatedly for a couple years in a row. You have Sean Astin, you have Corey Feldman, you have Josh Brolin.
This one seems like it's got that kind of energy to it that's wholesome and also fun, good for family. And looking back on it, it does have like almost like a young Indiana Jones for kids sort of thing.
Yeah. So you have Short Round from Temple of Doom in there as Data.
And that was going to be my question: is do you like Short Round better than Goonies or Temple of Doom?
And Goonies. Data is a little bit more of a fun, quirky character, trying all his adventures and stuff like that always fail, than opposed to being like
a little more
like sidekicky.
Okay, I like him. Short Round. Though.
I mean, I like Short Round. Yeah. I like Temple of Doom probably more than most people. Most people hate that, but I feel like with Goonies, most people I talk to that have seen it later in life don't appreciate it as much.
And I'm probably in that camp. Like it's one of those ones that I watched with a friend that grew up with it, and I think he wanted me to like kind of like it as much, and I'm like, I felt bad. Like I do think this is good, but I'm not like falling in love with it as much as a lot of people clearly are. Yeah, but I'm glad you love it. And it makes sense.
It's a movie that they would not make today. Like
putting all those kids in peril like that with some of the stuff, but it was very unique too.
Yeah, and you also have great villains. You have Joey Pants, is that his name?
I forget.
Joey Pantalone. What?
Joe Pantaleone. Yeah. The guy from The Sopranos. That guy.
Yeah. He's one of them.
Isn't their mother? Is actually like the head villain.
Yeah.
That's unique too. You don't see that like running kind of like a syndicate bank robber crew. It's very unique.
Yeah. So number 35, 1982's The Thing. Yeah. Practical effects again.
Okay, it's a realistic. It's the stamp of approval.
Yep. They practical effects still hold up to this day.
Just tell me about it, Tim. Yes.
Yeah. It's great suspense, fleshed out characters.
Even
for the
though
most part.
Even though with just a little bit of screen time, it's kind of like Alien, where you get the little bits of just a little bit of character traits about them, but it's enough you believe them as people.
Yes. And then I remember exactly when I watched this as well.
Tell me.
So I was in the Boy Scouts, and we were going up to Canada for like this, like kind of like type of adventure with the Canadian Scouts.
Sure.
And we took a bus, and we just watched movies on the way up. And this was one of them. I don't remember what any of the other movies were, but I was like, "What is this?" Like, it was great.
Did you go up camping during the winter?
No, it was during the spring.
Okay, good. That would have made it more scary.
Yeah. Like, if you watch this and then the thing from the other one, I appreciate that one because it kind of like sets up everything that you see from this one.
Sure.
Not nearly as great, and they rely on the CGI effects.
Too
and
much.
If you've watched it since it came out, you're like, oh man, these effects kind of look dated. Where if you watch the ones from '82, they hold up.
And they were planning to do. They had a whole sequence for that practical effects with the sequel or prequel planned, and they scrapped it. I don't know why they did that.
I don't know. Because they're like, we can just do it in post.
It's cheaper now.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
So another repeat from Dan's list, 1988, Who Framed Roger Rabbit in the 34 spot.
Such a good movie.
I saw this one in theaters. The blend of live action and cartoon is great. Holds up today. I don't understand how they did it. It's crazy for 1988. Because if you go back and you watch some of like the older
Disney stuff,
like where I was watching the 50s and 40s, it's kind of dated. I mean, it still kind of looks green screenish. Mary Poppins with the penguins, it looks okay, but this one looks so great. And then Christopher Lloyd, great villain. You have Disney and Warner Brothers characters on the screen at the same time. You never seen that before. You've never seen this after that. Nothing has done it since.
Who brokered that deal? They got the negotiating skills of a king. Like
I read about it. Warner Brothers allowed it if their headliners, like Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, those type of people, had the same amount of screen time as Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. So if you go through, they were like, okay, we're just going to put them in the same scenes. So you have the dueling pianos with the ducks, and then Mickey and Bugs are like when Eddie's falling out the window and they come through with parachutes and stuff like that.
I'll watch that again.
Yeah, but my favorite scene would be when Eddie is making all the weasels of the Toon Squad laugh until they die. Like, I thought that was great near the end.
I've never heard that before. That's a cool thing.
I like that one. Yes, dueling pianos is great.
That's what you're
Roger with when they're hiding in the handcuffs and they're just trying to get out.
I actually don't know, and I'm sure there's a bonus feature or something that explains it. But you talked about how well they do the 2D fusing with live action so well, and one thing that comes to mind that might make it stand out more than like Mary Poppins or something is. Because it's kind of like noir, it's a darker film. Yeah. I think that maybe the lighting had something to do with it. Because it seems so seamless, It
does, and because I read a little bit about it when I was researching this, and when they're cutting the handcuffs in that scene, I think they bumped the lamp a little bit, and the lamp starts going, and then they were just like, okay, this is going to make this scene harder to do, but we're gonna do it, and that became like a standard, like a phrase, like, okay, we're gonna bump the lamp with this, like, type of thing in Disney.
Wow,
it's like
this has to look good, even though the lamp bumped while we did it.
Yeah, like taking things up a notch. Like, you know what, we can do something a little bit more crazy with this.
Well, as that's like the classic Disney innovation, pushing the boundaries. Yeah. That's awesome. Good choice.
So number 33. Also on Dan's list, 1985's The Breakfast Club. I think this is John Hughes' best. he did write and the Home Alone. So I do have another Hughes movie on here, but he didn't direct that. That was obviously Christopher Columbus.
It's still his, stamps over it.
Yeah. So it's very relatable as a teen. In high school, I remember going to instead of having lunch in the cafeteria for one semester, I went to this one teacher let us have lunch in his room, and we just did homework stuff. But we also put on some VHSs, and Breakfast Club was one of 3 that we had, so I watched it multiple times that year, and every time it's great. You can always relate to one of them or multiple of them.
It's a movie that's popped up in a lot of people's lists that I've talked to, and that's one I saw it one time, and it made a very good impression on me. I think I need to watch it again because it was very good. And I want to ask you because I think for me, based on the ones I've seen, I still think of myself as a Bueller guy. So why are you more of a Breakfast Club person than a Ferris? Is it just that? Is it the likability, relatability thing, or is it just do you think it's better put together?
I think it's the relatability of it because everybody can relate to 5 kids in detention at school. Even if you didn't have detention, you know what detention is. Not everybody can relate to the guy playing hooky and getting away with it, and somehow
singing on a float,
singing Doc Shane or The Twist.
It's a little more grounded.
Yeah, you want to be that guy, but you're probably not.
You're probably these people.
Yes, you're these people. You're the nerd who somehow gets detention for bringing in a flare gun type of thing. So yeah, probably that. I mean, Bueller's great. Quotable as well.
Yeah, no, good choice as well. I need to watch it again.
Yeah. So then we have going way back to 1961.
Oh wow.
West Side Story.
Oh yeah.
32. I do like musicals, but this is probably the one that I like the most, probably because I saw it when I was really young. Not when I was in high school. I feel like I was in middle school or maybe even elementary school, and my high school put it on. My mom would always take me to those. I remember being really impressed by The King and I as well. But this was another one that also in high school we would watch this for a music class or something like that. So has some great songs.
And dance numbers too. Costumes.
And dance numbers. And I mean, I feel like the story is it is iconic as well because I mean it's
what he says at the beginning too. It grows younger, it never runs out.
But it's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
But in musical with Jets and Sharks. Jets and Sharks instead of Romeoettes and Caplets. Or what? Caplets and Montagues.
Montagues, yes. Romeos and
yes, Romeos.
Those gangs. That's good.
So yeah, it's so
good romance, likable characters, and the songs are catchy.
Song is catchy. Officer Krumke is one of my favorite ones in that.
And I don't want to spoil it, but one thing about, and maybe you see that, I don't know how common that was in older musicals, but one reason that stuck out to me is that for as upbeat of a movie as it is, it also deals with some heavy subject matters and racism's obviously a big part of it, and the ending is not the happiest.
No, it's
gut-wrenching, and you're like, I'm surprised they ended that way. Wow, but it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of the picture.
Yeah. So I've seen this multiple times. Love it every single time.
Wait a minute, Tim. You're the guy that's like, time. That's a long movie. That's a long-ass movie.
Musicals are always long. So, I mean, I loved Hamilton. That's a long movie as well. When you're sitting down for a musical, I feel like that's a little bit different.
Okay.
And, time-wise, for me, it's if I feel the time.
Okay.
That's when it bothers me.
Gotcha.
If I'm, watching Hateful Eight, and I'm just like,
gotta throw it out there.
Why am I watching the horses for a second time?
Because it's a beautiful shot.
It's a beautiful shot, but I feel it.
We're feeling the atmosphere.
I
feel like it's a long journey.
Yes, I know. But for this movie, the only time I feel the time is the opening credits. Opening credits are a little long.
What do you mean with the sweeping over the city?
No, they do.
I forget maybe.
It's like colors of the the cityscape with the overture behind it.
Gotcha. Okay, that's classic. Older.
That's classic older. I feel the time during that.
It's just the beginning,
after that, don't feel it.
All right, I do have a question then. What's your favorite song?
Officer Concrete. That's my favorite song.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a good one.
But I mean,
I think America's pretty great.
America's great. I do like that one. And the When You're a Jet is a great one.
When You're a Jet, it'll be stuck in my head again.
Yeah. So that's probably the longest running movie on my thing.
Okay.
Moving on to 31, 2010s. We watched this recently. Easy A.
Oh, well, I saw it for the first time with you. So
it's a funny rom-com, but it's not corny at all.
No.
It's very funny. Has lots of references to 80 movies, John Hughes type of things. Emma Stone's great. Stanley Tucci's great. You have Lisa Kudrow. You have Thomas Hayden Church in there as well.
Yes. I wish he was in more things.
Yeah. I think he got Spider-Man 3.
But he was the best part.
I know. But for some reason, I laugh every time I watch this movie.
What do you think the funniest aspect of it is for you?
I don't know. And it like takes the story of the Scarlet Letter, and it's basically that, but in high school. And I don't know. I feel like that's somewhat relatable. And I don't know. I feel like Emma Stone's allowed to shine and be her quirky type of funny self in this. When in her early roles, she was allowed to do that a lot more. I remember Ghost of Girlfriend's Past with Matthew McConaughey. Do you remember that one?
I never saw that one.
She was one of the Ghost of Girlfriend's Past, and she was hilarious in that movie, even though the movie's okay. She was also in The House Bunny at an early age, and she was thought to be funny and quirky and type of things.
I feel like she's been obviously a lot more dramatic.
A lot more dramatic recently.
Yeah.
Yes. So I think she's very funny. I wish she had a little bit more time to do that.
She's a very good actress.
Yes.
Yeah. No, this is a good one for her.
Yeah.
Would you say this is the one that kind of brought her more into the public scope?
Yeah. I remember her from Superbad, probably. That was her first thing. But I don't know if I remembered her
the other stuff
until after I saw this. I was like, Emma Stone. Oh wait, she was in Superbad. Yeah. It's like the same thing with Brie Larson. Like I'm like, oh wait, she was in 21 Jump Street before she became famous.
There you go.
Yeah.
Happens sometimes.
Yeah. So another classic, 1984's Ghostbusters in the 30 spot.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Tell me about Ghostbusters. This film I've never heard of it.
So it's very classic comedy. There's so many quotes in it. All-star cast. Great special effects that mostly still hold up.
Mostly, yeah.
Yes. Even some of the CGI with like the proton packs and the laser and stuff, that stuff holds up. There's a few shots with like maybe the monster creature running around.
There's I think the scene with the ghost at the beginning, there's clearly some like in camera stuff that looks I guess a little cheesy, but I think that's kind of the point too.
Yeah. And then I remember having lots of Ghostbuster toys. So I really like this movie. I had Ghostbuster toys with the real Ghostbusters animated show after this.
Real Ghostbusters.
And then I remember going to see the sequel. This was a little bit too early for me but I remember, I don't know how I watched it, but probably on video with my dad or something like that.
All right.
But yeah, Aykroyd's great. Bill Murray's great. You have Ernie Hudson, Sigourney Weaver. You have Ivan Reitman.
Yes.
Not Ivan Reitman. He's the director.
No.
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis.
All right. Well,
as Egon.
Got a couple questions for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite scene?
What's my favorite scene?
Or line. Or both.
My favorite scene would probably be the hotel scene when their first call
with
Slimer.
Yeah.
You have Slimer, even though he didn't have a name. The Green Ghost at that point. But just with that, the whole ballroom scene, very classic. But also the end's great too with the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Mm-hmm.
Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
You say yes.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Ghostbuster? Everyone's got one.
I would probably say mine was Egon.
It's probably I'd say he's the most popular. I feel like people love Egon.
I mean, I would say it's either that or Bill Murray's character, Venkman. A lot of people like Venkman because he's kind of like the snarky
Bill
Murray-esque one. But Egon's very quirky, dorky. I mean, I have glasses, so I always felt like I was kind of the dorky type of thing.
We ever him for Halloween?
I have a Ghostbuster costume. It doesn't have a name on it, but I always, because I have glasses, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm Egon.
Do you have a proton pack?
I have an inflatable proton pack that came with it. It was like a Target costume.
That still works.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. Okay, could you clear something up for me?
Yeah.
Or maybe you'll actually agree or not agree. I don't know. But Ghostbusters is obviously such a classic for a lot of people. I always assumed that Ghostbusters 2 was held in the same light, but apparently it's more divisive than that. I always liked it, and I was like, wait, people love Ghostbusters 2. And then I looked on Rotten Tomatoes one day, and I'm like, oh, apparently a lot of people don't. And I'm like, I don't know. So tell me your thoughts.
I liked Ghostbusters 2. Obviously, it's not as high as Ghostbusters.
No, but
I would say it's a positive. I wouldn't say it's a rotten movie.
I mean, as we've sometimes joked about, you can't give the same movie too different of a grade.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I don't think it's the same movie though. I mean,
I think it's darker than the first one.
It's different enough that, you have. The painting villain,
whatever his name is,
Gothar, the Carpathian, I think his name
very
is.
Very good, yes. And the ooze under the
the ooze under sewer. I think it's very different. I think it's also when you start and you have Ray and Winston. Is that it?
Yeah, Winston. Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're late. We have to go in there, and
it's the party.
It's a birthday party.
But that's funny.
I mean, it's funny. It's like, oh, they're not.
They're on the low point.
They're low point again.
Yeah.
No
one cares that
no one cares
the city. Yeah.
No one cares.
That's funny.
That's funny. Statue of Liberty is very classic. I mean,
but people say that's similar to Stay Puft, with the giant walking, which I don't care. But people have said,
one's
the same thing.
One's a villain, and one's kind of like their vehicle of choice. I think it's different.
It is, but I guess they're like, oh, you're doing kind of the same thing. I don't know. I don't really understand the Ghostbusters 2 hate. I don't get it. Personally. Never got that. Did you? Yeah, I know you watched the real Ghostbusters as a kid. Now, in the 90s, we had this show called The Extreme Ghostbusters. Did you ever check it out?
I think I watched it a couple times, but, I mean, at that point, I think I was a little bit too old for that.
Mm-hmm. Go back and watch it sometime. It's not a kid show.
Okay.
Trust me. It's. I think it's actually Egon training younger Ghostbusters, and of course, because of the '90s, it's extreme, so it's all kinds of wacky stuff.
Yeah, but at that point, it was like
extreme.
It was on Saturday mornings, right? And
yes.
I think at that point, I was doing cross country or something like that. I think I was in high school, so I didn't have time to watch Saturday morning cartoons.
Gotcha.
And at that point, it's not like I was videotaping Saturday morning cartoons to watch later.
Yeah. Well, hey, if you ever get the chance, maybe worth a watch.
Okay. And then 2011 in the 29th spot is 50/50.
Oh, that's a good movie.
Yeah. Inspired by a true story, and it handles the topic of cancer very well. It's not that dark. It's not that goofy, but there is laughter. There are tears.
You know something, Tim? Think about 50/50. You know how there's the Oscar movie that's trying to seem like it's baiting an Oscar to be an Oscar film. This one seems like that, but it's not hokey. It's not. It seems very genuine.
I think it's very genuine, and you have a great cast. You have Joseph Gordon-Levitt, you have Seth Rogen being really funny, you have Anna Kendrick, you have
is it Angelica Houston?
Angelica Houston's his mom. You have Bryce Dallas Howard as the bad girlfriend.
Yeah,
and it shows how different people react to this. Like the one girlfriend thinks that she can do it, but she can't. And then you have you think Seth Rogen's just his character's just
a goofball.
Goofball, but later on in the movie you see that he's actually reading books of how to deal with cancer with your friend.
That's probably my favorite scene in the movie, is because you're thinking like he is a goof, but he's literally been studying, like, okay, like he's been learning because he cares so much. You make assumptions about people.
So I mean, I've rewatched this movie multiple times. It hits me every time.
See, that's one that is very good, but man, that was sad. I was like, this is one you go back to? I'm like, I don't know if I'm just like,
for some reason, I really do like it, and every time he gets to that, it's the scene where, like, he's at the hospital ready to go into surgery, and then he's not ready, and he's calling out to his mom. I'm like, oh my God.
Choke up.
But, and then it's still, I'm just like, it's still such great movie.
Oh, I mean, it is. I don't dispute that at all, but it's like, it's one of those ones that I know is good, and I'll probably watch it again at some point, but I'm not like rushing to do it.
I know, but
I get it.
Anytime I see it, like, I have HBO and those types of things, and every time it pops up there, I'm like, I'm gonna watch it. It's on there.
That's your what do they call that? Like your couch movie. Like it's on. You're watching it.
Yeah, I mean, anytime any of these movies are on,
these are all there.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll watch
this.
Is it. Yeah. And then we have 2010. In 28th spot we have Tangled.
A Tangled fan.
Yes. I think Tangled is better than Frozen.
That's been said.
Frozen's a great movie.
Okay, but I guess when you're talking about it, why? You can elaborate.
So, it has amazing songs.
Yes.
The voice acting is great by Mandy Moore, Zachary Levi, Levy.
Levy? I think Levy. I don't know. Okay. I actually don't know.
The guy that played Chuck. I feel like the story is great. It's a adventurous princess story, which we usually don't get for princess movies.
With the princess being a main factor,
like
participant.
Princess and the Frog kind of did that a little bit, but
the prince was also a big part of the plot. Well, she's got somebody helping her as well. Yeah.
So that one, but if you look at all the Snow White's not really an adventure movie. Cinderella's not very adventure
driven.
Yeah. So I feel like the story with that is really great. And then the sidekicks, silent sidekicks. You have Maximus the horse. You have Pascal the iguana. Hilarious, and they don't say a thing.
And that's also classic for Disney, the classic animal side character.
Yeah, and usually most of them have a talking role for the most part. You usually don't have many silent characters.
Sometimes they have some that talk and some that don't.
Yeah,
which is an interesting crossover.
But I felt like they were really great. The villain, Mother Gothel, is scary as well.
Got some problems.
Yeah,
she got some issues.
I mean, I wasn't expecting to love a movie based off Rapunzel when I saw this. I'm like, I like Disney, I'll go watch this, but I was very impressed with it, and this is another one of my Disney go-tos that I'll go to.
It really is. I think it's one of the Disney greats. Do you think, I don't know if it's that divisive, do you think that Tangled's a little underrated?
I do. I think because of what a hit Frozen was a couple years later,
overshadowed a bit.
It overshadowed a little bit. I mean, Frozen is great.
It's very good.
The songs are great. I do love the voice acting. Olaf is okay, but he gets a little bit annoying. But I think if I had the choice between watching the two, I'd watch Tangled again.
And what's the one thing that would make you turn to Tangled? If there is one thing.
I think I like the songs slightly more.
Okay. Maybe that's a preference thing.
Yeah.
Some people have said that the Tangled songs are one of the weaker elements. So.
I like them.
Yeah, I think they were pretty good.
And I think I like the adventure story a little bit more of kind of a fish out of water type of thing with Rapunzel.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then 27, we have 1989's Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Is this the only indie one on the list?
It is the only indie one on the list. I love the character, and I think this is his best movie.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it would be my personal favorite, but I do think it's the best one. Why do you think this is the best indie movie? Because you get people across the board on this one.
Well, this is the only one I saw in theaters.
Okay.
The other two I saw on home video.
Mm-hmm.
I actually remember we saw this in a theater with my whole family, and it was like we saw it late in the thing, and on like a weekday that no one else was there. We had the whole theater to ourselves.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Love when that happens.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think the addition of Sean Connery as his father, I thought the chemistry between those were great, which you didn't have in the first ones.
Nobody really matched him quite the same way. Yeah. He had sidekicks. I guess he had sort of love interests.
He had love interest. He had a kind of love interest in this one. She turned out to be a Nazi, but
I suppose yes, she was evil, which I liked that.
Yes,
actually, that was different from the other ones.
Yeah.
And I know you want to know something though. I do think that she's a better love interest than the girl in the second one.
What's her name?
Oh,
it's a boy's name. Is it Scotty? No, it's something like that.
She's screaming all the time.
Yes,
and complaining about everything.
Yeah. I mean, she gets a bad rap for Temple of Doom, but
I like Temple of Doom a lot, but I'm just saying I think that she probably is the most annoying part. But no, this is a good one. There are some great action sequences in this. Do you have a favorite?
Probably the tank scene.
Tank scene is great. I've always kind of liked the plane scene because you know why.
Because the pen is that's the pen is mightier than the sword is the tank scene.
Well, it's just
because he shoots the tail.
Because he shoots the tail and has to be like, oh, sorry, they got us.
Yeah,
I just love that.
They're both great.
I guess they're what was it, the one on the dirigible, the Zeppelin thing? Was there a sequence on that too, or are they just in it for a second?
There was a little fight scene in there, and then they get onto the plane and they fly off, and then there's the plane thing. But they do everything there. There's a boat one, there's a plane one, there's a motorcycle, there's a tank. They kind of get them all.
They do.
And I remember my dad always quoted anytime like I did something like wrong, he'd be like, he chose poorly. I was like, come on. So
I love that guy too. The Knight.
Yeah.
A great character with a very minimal role. You kind of want to know more about him.
Yeah,
you really do.
So I think those are the reasons why I choose this one over the other ones. The other two are really great. Definitely would be in my top 100. But this is the only one in the top 50. So
you're telling me that Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is not your actual number one?
Oh, well, Crystal Skull's, I've seen that once and I'm done.
That's fair.
So 26, we go to 2001, The Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, Wes Anderson.
Wes Anderson. It's the first Wes Anderson movie I saw, and I think that's why I'm drawn to this one as my favorite. Mm-hmm. It's quirky, and I think in later movies that I've seen, he relies on his quirkiness a little bit too much, and kind of leans in it too much, and it kind of gets derivative a little bit. But since it was new to me, this is the one I'm drawn to, and all-star cast. You have Murray, you have Hackman, you have Angelica Houston again, you have Gwyneth Paltrow, you have Ben Stiller, Owen and Luke Wilson,
Glover's in there
Danny
too.
Glover.
Yeah, great. He's one of those directors that he gets like all these great actors just be in this movie to be this quirky. And Tenenbaums, I think, might have been the first one I saw, or one of the first. That's definitely one of my favorites. I think it probably was my favorite for a while. It's also one that I think of his films. Obviously they're very quirky and funny, but I want to say that one has probably the biggest dramatic components to it. Like I just remember a lot of heavier with the dynamics of the different family members, how they're trying to relate with Hackman coming back.
Yeah, and you know, suicide is a big thing in it as well.
Yeah, I think is it like the Gwyneth Paltrow's like she's got some serious issues.
Yeah.
So it's like I remember that one was it's a little grittier.
It's a little grittier. It's a little heavier. And I think that's another reason why I'm drawn to that one as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this one since then a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit don't really hit the heaviness as much.
Yeah, I could totally get behind that. I think I might be more of a Grand Budapest guy because I really liked that one.
That is a good one.
But that also maybe leans into the quirkiness look because you got obviously the bright colors and the set pieces. But I guess that one's a little heavy too. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
it's got some murder and stuff going on.
Yeah, I like Grand Budapest. I like Moonrise Kingdom. Those would be
really good one.
The next ones on my list of Wes Anderson movies that I liked.
Cool.
Yeah. I remember after this one. The next one was Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou, and I had such high hopes.
I never saw it.
And then I watched it, and I was like, I think I have to go watch it again.
I've heard some people say that's like one of his best. So, you know, maybe watch it again and check it out. But, you know, Moby Dick, but a shark, right?
I think so.
Some weird thing. I don't know.
Yeah. So, 25, 1995's
Way there.
12 Monkeys, another time travel movie.
Another time travel. Bruce Willis
as
again.
well. Willis is great. Pitt is amazing in this.
It's one of his best, I think.
It's one of his best.
The guy in the asylum, yeah.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam as a director. He's kind of hit or miss with me, but I feel like this is kind of usually sometimes he kind of goes too far out there on some stuff, and I feel like this he was able to rein it into a very concise movie.
I watched Brazil with Peter a little while ago. You ever see Brazil?
I've seen Brazil.
That's like his big one. Is that a little too weird for you?
It is a little weird.
It's a weird movie, yeah.
Yeah, where I feel like this one with the time travel is a little weird, but it is very grounded for a Terry Gilliam movie.
It is very grounded, and it's also one of those time travel movies that just feels very believable.
Yes.
You know, because they're dealing with something that just seems very plausible. And it's also another one, I guess, kind of almost has a timeless feature to it. Just thinking about it, like when I think back about watching the scenes of the movie, maybe it's because it was the mid-'90s, I feel like I'd watch it now and I wouldn't assume automatically when it was filmed or when it takes place. It has that kind of quality to it.
Yeah, and the time travel is believable, and they don't really explain how it happens. You're just, okay, I'm on board. They don't really explain it that much.
Was it the actress in that? Was that Madeline Stowe?
Yeah.
You know, I like her. I haven't seen her in too many things.
No.
I think she was in Last of the Mohicans. I think she was the woman in that.
Maybe.
If I remember correctly.
I kind of sometimes get her mixed up with the girl from Groundhog Day that Dan hates.
Annie McDowell.
Yes.
Also, she kind of reminds me of like Laura Linney. There's like a couple women that are sort of like in that sort of type. But I liked her in that. Yeah. And how do you feel about the ending?
Oh, it's tragic. But they kind of set it up the whole time, and even watching it multiple times, you're like, maybe the ending will change. Like you're kind of on board, but you know it's happening. But I mean, it all makes sense.
It kind of works though.
Yeah, it works.
And I kind of almost think there's something about Gilliam's when he shows the future. He does it a very specific way with all like the weird retro kind of robotics. But once again, it seems like so minimalistic. It's plausible, and you got the awkward zoom-ins. Some Brazil stuff kind of creeps in the future. I feel like it's almost the same place.
Yeah, and then they filmed in like an actual, I think, mental hospital, like a old one, and I believe it. That everything in that mental hospital is great.
And it's weird because it seems realistic, but the way it's filmed, kind of, I think with the angles and the weird, it's you feel like you're kind of out of it when you're there.
Yeah,
it's strange.
Moving on to one of my most recent, 2016 in Zootopia in number 24.
Oh, good old Zootopia.
Another Disney movie. It's a great buddy cop themed Disney cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
It also tackles the topic of race and stereotypes in such a way that it could be understandable for kids. And I applaud Disney for doing that. Like, I don't think anybody has done that since or prior to that, and
not as well. No.
And not as well.
That's one of those ones that surprised me because you see the premise and you just think, oh, okay, this might be cute, maybe okay, but I shouldn't underestimate Disney because they usually just do such a good job, but they're often very resistant to tackle things that might push buttons.
Yeah.
And this was them not doing that.
Yeah.
And also, maybe goes without saying, but just really well animated.
Oh yeah.
And what's the two characters? The fox and the rabbit, right?
Yeah.
They're great.
Judy Hopps and what's the fox name?
Something Fox?
No.
No.
Nick Wilder or something like that.
I believe it. Oh, and also, like, going on with the theme of perceptions, the twist, the villain at the end,
the villain
was great.
Yeah.
What villain
twist, and Disney, like, going through Disney's, like, you're like, that is their go-to thing, and yet for some reason you never expect it, and yet they're able to pull it off. And the cast, the voice acting is great. You have Jason Bateman as the fox. You have Jennifer Goodwin as the bunny. I think Idris Elba is
the police captain.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And then J.K. Simmons is the mayor, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, some great voice acting.
That's a very good movie. Now you're just, when you go through this list, just makes me want to, like, basically I want to either rewatch a movie or watch one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Gotta reach Zootopia.
Okay. This one you're going to enjoy. Number 23.
Am I going to flip out of the chair?
1999's Galaxy Quest.
Oh shit!
So
I didn't expect that. I know you're not like a big Star Trek guy, so I'm confused.
I'm not. But I think I like this one is because it pokes fun at Star Trek.
It does.
But not in a mean way.
No, it's with love.
With
so much
love. But it's things that I always noticed about, like, the original Star Trek, and I'm like, this kind of hokey and corny, but they totally lean into this, and you're like, oh my god, they are spot on. Yes, why does he always lose his shirt when he's fighting things? And Sam Rockwell be like, hey, I'm an unnamed crew member, I'm gonna die, I'm a red shirt.
His scene, that's one of my favorites, when he's talking about how he gets so into character he forgets if he has a last name. It's an alien planet. You don't know? He's just completely losing it. It's just that's early Sam Rockwell, just comedic genius.
Yeah.
There, man.
And the cast is great. You have Tim Allen, you have Sigourney Weaver, Alan Rickman. I always love Alan Rickman. I think he's up there. He's up there, and he's very underrated, I feel like.
You think he's even after Harry Potter?
I think so.
People just think of him as Snape.
I think they think of him as Snape. They don't realize how many great roles he had.
That's true. And you know something? Alexander Dane, this is one of his best roles, I think. Playing the actor / scientist Spock type guy.
Yeah.
This is honestly one of his best roles, and that's kind of almost the joke because such a serious actor. But he can lean into the hokiness, and he's got the comedic chops too.
And you don't, and that's nothing. You don't expect Alan Rickman to be this funny guy. I mean, I guess he does show humor in some of his other movies, but it's not kind of as hokey, I guess.
No, but and that's also the thing too, is that everybody has great comedic timing, and once again, so genuine. Like, I believe these people. I believe they're struggling actors that are on the show when I get past it, and it's just. They're great. They're just great.
And then Tony Shalhoub is also great. I only know him from Monk, and then
the Scotty engineer guy.
Yeah, and it's such a great, different character for him.
They think the ship's blown up, man. Engines can't take it. I don't know.
Good job, everybody. Good job. Like, it's such a different role from his Adrian Monk, and now he's on Marva Smith's Maisel, and that's another kind of serious role. So I guess he did do Men in Black as like.
The one alien guy.
Yeah, the one alien. But it's such a minor role that you don't really think of that as Tony Shalhoub that much.
He might be one of those actors that he kind of blends in, so that's actually kind of a compliment.
Yeah.
I haven't watched much Monk. Is that a good show?
Yeah, I always liked it. I mean, it's
a detective
quirky
thing.
Procedural. He has like a lot of fears of agoraphobia and like all these types of fears and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, and you have Justin Long as well. Like
that movie's really good.
It is really good. And I mean, I liked Star Trek a little bit, but I wasn't a huge fan. But then
here's the thing, though. I think that speaks to how good the movie is, because even though it's focused on Star Trek specifically, it's really more about fandom and in general.
Yes. So you don't have to be a Trekkie to enjoy this.
Appreciate it. It's a great film.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, moving on to a Star Wars movie.
Oh, similar. Okay.
1980s, Empire Strikes Back.
Okay, so you're the Empire, best one.
Best one. Okay. It is the best of the Star Wars movies.
Hands down.
Great twist, even though you should have known it.
What's the twist?
Yeah. And then it's also a series of down endings for most of the characters. You have Luke getting his hand cut off.
It's dark, yeah.
Yeah, it's very dark. Han Solo and Carbonite. You just don't. C-3PO is in pieces on Chewie's back.
That's true. Chewie's sad, and the Empire's winning. Yeah. Rebels on the run.
Yeah, so you usually don't have that in most movies as the ending.
Like big adventure, especially if there's going to be a sequel. But can you imagine, well, I mean, I think people didn't like it initially because it was such a down ending. They did this to the characters, but coming back, they probably so excited we got to see them win.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite scene or moment that's like you? Because it's the best Star Wars movie, so best Star Wars moment for Tim is. Here. What do you think?
I mean, Luke's face off with Vader is very iconic. It's great. For some reason, I'm always drawn to the thing that always sticks out to me from when I was a kid is that just Chewie running around with C-3PO on his back. I love that.
Their banter when he's always complaining.
Yeah.
Are you a C-3PO fan? Because I like him.
I like him,
I think
but he can get kind of annoying at sometimes.
But I think that's his
thing.
Yeah.
So I think as a kid, because he's a little bit annoying, I was like, yes, he's in pieces and he can't really do much. He's like on Chewie's back.
Look, but I think that speaks a lot to Chewie as a character, how dedicated he is to C-3PO to still protect him even though he's annoyed by him.
Yeah, finding him in the junk heap and
he's like, Chewie is such a good character, but I feel like that's not talked about enough. Because I guess it's assumed. But no, the Yoda scenes are great, man. That's probably my favorite part, actually. Okay, since I have to say it. How do you feel about the cave scene? Because that's the one moment people was like, "Oh, this is weird." Stops the movie. There's that Seth MacFarlane joke, which I disagree. But I guess that's the chink. I
mean, I guess, but I mean,
I get it, right?
Yeah.
Face yourself. You're your worst enemy.
But I feel like
weird dreamlike thing.
I feel like
Force stuff.
The original trilogy, each movie has a little chink in its armor.
Gotcha.
I mean, for New Hope, I'd say the chink is the Obi-Wan Kenobi fight where he just kind of
the lightsaber cuts out
and he just kind of gives up and you're
because I guess I have to because the script says I have to.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense. And then I feel like the chink with the Jedi is a little bit too cutesy with the Ewoks.
Look, I'll say it right here. Return of the Jedi is my favorite.
Okay.
But I like the Ewoks, but I can understand that. I think that's probably the chink, but they're not too cute. They're a little cute, maybe.
Okay.
But I do agree.
I feel like it's a little
just
it's a little too cutesy for a Star Wars movie. I feel like
maybe
from such a dark ending of the second one, I feel like coming back, you're like,
that's probably why George Lucas is like, we need more Ewoks. We gotta make them cuddly.
We need toys.
Sell more toys. Basically.
Ewok Village. Okay.
There you go. And all the spin-off VHS series and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, I get it, but I mean, none of the other trilogies hold a candle to this trilogy.
No.
Yeah.
I agree.
So 1993's Groundhog Day, another one from Dan's list at 21. Time loop. It's time travel, but it's a time loop. And I don't think I've ever saw a movie with a time loop before. And
I think that it might have. That's something that pops up old sci-fi, like Twilight Zone. Probably that's the only thing I could think.
Yeah, but I mean, generally, I feel like I do like time loops. You have Happy Death Day, that's a time loop movie, and Palm Springs, which I mentioned earlier, that is also a time loop. But I feel like this is Bill Murray at his best. He's just being Bill Murray, doing his thing, and being hilarious the whole time. And it also makes you ask some questions of yourself, of like, what would I do if I had infinite time, infinite days,
no consequences,
like no consequences? Like, would I get fed up and just keep trying to kill myself? Would I try stealing the groundhog? Would I plan it out that I could steal the armored truck money every day? Like, or would I try improving myself, learning the piano, saving people, type of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or would I use that time to try to hook up with Annie McDowell
and like learn more about her? And
yeah.
it's what a great message. Like that's some, you know, the funny thing about Groundhog Day is I think I saw it in high school or something, and it was I think it was probably for some sort of philosophical thing, but I liked the movie as a kid, but I didn't appreciate how many layers there were to it, and just how brilliant it really is. And it's a beautiful story. I believe Bill Murray said that's his favorite movie he ever did. Like he thinks that's like just a really powerful thing for him. Like, and I believe it, because it's just it's also really funny. And who directed that again?
Howard Ramis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So I mean, I went to Messiah College, and they actually showed this on we had like a small theater there, on film, but for this existential questioning of like that you get credit for one of your classes. And,
just watch it. Really.
Yeah. They had like film series about questioning and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, I gotta watch the Groundhog Day in the theater on film. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, it was actually one I think you remember that old theater that closed down in Middletown. I guess the Elks Theater. You hear about that one?
No.
Yeah, apparently it's one of the older theaters, and they were trying to keep it up. But Peter, I actually saw, because I think that's one of his favorites, and I got to actually watch it on the original film too. So that's one of the few movies I can say that about, and kind of random, but it was really good.
Yeah. Also, 1993, in number 20 spot is Jurassic Park.
Oh, well, perfect shirt for you.
Yeah, perfect shirt. I have that same shirt.
Good.
The effects still hold up today. The only thing that doesn't hold up is when she's surfing the computers and like the how dated that is, but it's fine because it's for that time period.
This is high-tech 1993 computers. Sure, they got little maps. Oh, yeah, this is where the center for the code is, and there's a little graphic of a fake city, like a video game. I'm like, they didn't know how computers worked back then. They're just like, they'll believe it, sure.
Yeah. That's the only thing that doesn't hold up. But everything else, even the stuff that they did a lot of practical effects, but some of the stuff they do CGI still. The one scene that still, every time I watch it, I'm like, I can't believe that was a mistake. And it's when Lexi falls through the tiles. That was a stunt double because of that.
Yeah.
And the stunt double was supposed to not look up, but she looks up, and then they had to like put the actress's head in there.
I never noticed that. Yeah.
And I know that that's not her face, but it still looks okay. I'm just like, okay.
Also, like a split second.
Yeah, it's a split second.
And in the moment with the Raptors and everything, you're not really paying attention to the face too much.
But if you're looking for it and you know it, but it's not bad.
And I probably am like a broken record about this, but like, for me, like, there's a couple movies that are standards of special effects, and I'm like, Jurassic Park holds up so well, even the CGI.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if the CGI looks that good back then, there are so many movies that just don't meet to that level.
Yeah.
And that amazes me.
Well, when you're Spielberg and you have the budget and you know what you're doing, like, he's been doing practical effects for such a long time. I mean, he had a shark that he couldn't even use in his first movie, and it works fine because it's better when he didn't have the shark.
Yeah, and that worked out. And then when you had the scenes, it built up to it. It was something. But and this is really silly too, because with Jurassic Park, people talk so much about the groundbreaking CGI, and I agree. And I always say, like, why can't CGI look like it did in Jurassic Park? Like, so few movies reach that level. but I didn't really realize how much of it was, puppetry, animatronics, other that's another reason I watched it, because they work together. And that's the example of like how to do it, and the Raptors looks good. Like it's so good.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable to me. That's like movie magic right there.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think this is probably the first movie that I realized that oh, here's Sam Jackson. 10 years later, I'm like I finally knew who Sam Jackson was, and then I watched it and I was like, wait, that's Sam Jackson. How did I not know Sam Jackson was in this movie for like 10 years?
Well, it's a sleeper thing too, because that was right before Pulp Fiction, so he wasn't really big. But yeah.
And so this came out in '93. Like at that point in time, when a movie was in theaters, it was in theaters for a really long time, and then it took almost a year to get on VHS for it to show up in Blockbuster. We had a $1.50 theater in our neighborhood, which would get it like 6 months after it. That's the only movie I ever saw at the $1.50 place that I had to wait in line for. Like, the line was out the door around the block because people were like, oh, I have to watch this again because it's not on VHS, but I'll pay $1.50 for it. And that was the only time I ever had to wait in line for that place.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
Yeah. And it's the first movie I saw with surround sound. It's like...
I think we can say that Jurassic Park might be a good movie.
Yeah.
It's possible. We could possibly
great.
say that.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Great choice. My favorite choice so far. Even though we're Alien, The Thing, Jurassic Park, I agree.
Yeah. So number 19, 2004, Shaun of the Dead.
Oh, Cornell trilogy.
Yeah, it launches Peg's career, Frost's career, Edgar Wright's career into stardom. Like, without that movie, like they had a TV show, and prior to that, and somehow they made it work on the big screen. And
do you think? I think that those two actors probably have they're like one of the great comedy duos of our time. I think they're so funny together.
Yes,
their timing, and they're also with the writing with Edgar Wright, I guess.
Yeah,
it's great. Like their films are. I wish they made more. Like I know it's only that trilogy really, and a couple other things.
Well, they had Paul, which wasn't part of the trilogy.
It's like unofficial. I consider that's almost like an addendum. I like Paul.
Yeah, I like Paul. Yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like I wish they did more of those weird genre fusion parody things that are also the movies they're trying to make, but really good.
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, I guess it would probably spoil the list, but I guess Shaun of the Dead's your favorite of them.
Yes. I mean, it's a horror comedy. I don't even think I knew that horror comedy was a thing. That was supposed to be a horror comedy.
It's probably one of the first really big ones.
Yeah,
like successful.
Usually, prior to this, it would be like, oh, this is a horror movie that's so bad that it's a comedy.
It's good. Yeah.
Yes, like, we can laugh about it. And we're like, oh yeah, look how corny. But this is supposed to be funny. It's supposed to be scary as well.
It's a good zombie movie too.
Yeah, it's blended well. The tracking shot of him going to the corner store and then them redoing that with the zombies. Oh my god! Like I was like, what did I just see? Like it was so well done. And I'm like, okay, well, what can Edgar Wright do after this? And he does amazing things. He does Scott Pilgrim. He does Baby Driver. So he knows what he's doing, and he does it with purpose,
flair, and meticulous, and definitely it's another one of those examples of, I guess, like a lot of people, clearly a movie lover, just putting all his love into those genres.
Yeah, and it's poking fun at the tropes a little bit, but it's does it in a respectful way.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have a romance in there, and you believe it, and I think it's really their friendship, and you believe their friendship, and because they have that friendship, because you'll see them pop up in their other projects. Like Nick Frost had a show on Amazon that got canceled, and Simon Pegg had like a recurring small role in it. You're like, okay, yeah, of course.
That might definitely help for their chemistry, and I think that's also a great thing about the movie is it has a really good message, a really good arc for his growth as a character, and his balance between his friend and holding him back with the relationship. So that's good. Did you ever watch the early project, Spaced? You ever watched the show?
I did not.
Well, I think, since this is on your list and you're a big fan of Edgar Wright and Frost and Pegg, you got to watch Spaced, because that's the beginning. That's the proto. Very low budget BBC, but all the references to geeky stuff. I think definitely check out Spaced, man.
I've heard it many times, and I'm like, okay. I'll
Just
yeah.
only because you clearly like these movies.
Yep.
I've always been a little more of a Hot Fuzz guy.
Okay.
But I think that it's possible.
But is that because you're more into the action movies that they're poking fun at? Or is it...
it's weird. I guess I feel like I appreciate zombie movies more now.
Okay.
I didn't really grow up with them or wasn't around them as much and didn't understand like the like Night of the Living Dead. I got into that stuff later, and I saw Shaun of the Dead before that. So I think as a film, it's probably the best put together. I think for me, the Hot Fuzz is just a combination of it's a combination of the mystery.
Yeah.
Actually, I kind of like that because it's poking fun of that sort of thing. The scene with the shootout is hilarious to me. But really, it's just kind of the quirky dialogue and making fun of cop tropes.
Yeah.
That his character in that movie,
Yeah.
I think I just enjoyed watching more from a comedic standpoint.
Yeah, and how like Nick Frost is like, hey, have you ever done this, and this, and
like
he's
no.
Why
have you ever done jump sideways, flying double? No, it's just.
Have you ever shot your gun in the air?
But then they do all the things,
and then he does all of it. By then,
it's very similar, but I don't know. There's just something about the humor and like the scene at the beginning when he's checking into the hotel and like the lady's doing the crossword hag and there's like the insults that aren't really insults.
Yeah.
Like there's just something about the wit of the writing that I really like.
He's a very good writer.
Very similar thing.
So moving on to number 18, we have 1994's Lion King. Not the remake.
Not the 2019.
No. And I feel like this is the pinnacle of the Disney Renaissance era, which was like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin.
You think it's the pinnacle? Pinnacle in what sense?
That it's the best.
So you think it's better than Beauty and the Beast? Not that I know the rest of your list.
Yes,
Ooh.
but I mean,
Ooh.
you have Little Mermaid, you have Aladdin, you have Beauty and the Beast, and you have the Lion King. It's kind of like
the curve,
kind of going up and up and up, and then after this, it kind of goes down a little.
It starts to wobble a little bit.
Yes,
you
have Pocahontas, you have Tarzan, you have things like that, Hercules, which I feel like aren't on the caliber of those.
All right, I'll let you say some things. Then
I mean, it also has great animation. It has great songs, voice acting as well. I mean,
freaking James Earl Jones.
Jeremy Irons as the villain.
Oh, you want to know something? I think that man, I'm drawing a blank for him right now. But Ferris Bueller.
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick as Simba.
As adult Simba.
Adult Simba. I think this is his best role. I really, really think I think that might be his best role. I know that he's got some other things he's known well for, but like to me, he's Simba. Adult Simba. Teenage Simba, whatever.
Yeah. You have Jonathan Taylor-Thomas as young Simba.
Oh, that's who that was?
Yeah.
Oh, I never
JTT.
knew. I never knew that. That actually makes sense for the time.
Yeah.
Nathan Lane was...
Nathan Lane, Timon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. You have... Timon and Pumbaa are great.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's colorful. I mean, it's great. So for you, you think it's the pinnacle, like the best representation of Disney at its best, really, because it's the Disney Renaissance. So
it's the Disney Renaissance.
So what is it that's there for you to?
I feel like the animation is just slightly better than. Okay, let's say that the top 4 Disney movies of the Renaissance would be Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Lion King.
Agreed.
That's the Renaissance.
That's the accepted one. That's the peak of
that's the good ones. I just feel like the animation is slowly getting better. It's the best animation of them.
Very fluid,
I just like the story a little bit better, and maybe that's because it's Hamlet. I mean, they have a great story to go off of, and like just Mufasa dying. It's just it's like so heartbreaking. Like that, the stampede scene. Just it looked great. It was heartbreaking. Yeah, like the dust in the air. I just like
hyenas are great too.
Hyenas are funny. Whoopi's
there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that is what brings it above Beauty and the Beast. Like that, the classic Disney trope of let's kill the parent.
And also a great villain. You know what? I'll tell you this. Scar is a better villain than Gaston, I think.
Yeah, I mean, because
Gaston's good.
Gaston, I mean,
he's
interesting. He's a villain in a way of the way that he's just he's just a jerk that wants Belle, but
he kind of grows as a villain.
And like most people would agree that there's a monster there, and like it takes people like Belle to learn that the monster has a heart. But I mean, a jerk obviously isn't going to do that.
To be fair, some people might say that makes Gaston a very realistic thing.
Yes.
So there's that argument too.
Yeah, he's a very realistic villain, believable villain. But
as a for the maniacal chemistry of his presence and Jeremy Irons' voice, obviously.
But Scar is a villain that was willing to kill his brother to get the throne.
That's pretty evil.
That's evil. That is like
it's about as evil.
Cruella de Vil evil, like Ursula evil, like those type of people. So I do think that is why it's slightly better than Beauty and the Beast.
They've also got the Nazi imagery. He's got
Nazis
to do something
in Be Prepared. Yes.
Yep.
So
heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Yeah, no, that's a really good one. That's one that I think is definitely up there. And I don't know if I appreciate it quite as much as I once did, but I'll have to watch it again. Lion King's the first movie I ever saw.
Was it?
In theaters, yeah. I think saw it a couple times when it was out, I think drive-in or something. Oh. So I loved it as a kid.
Yeah.
I really did. So Lion King is a very important movie for me. But I don't know. There's just so many good Disney movies.
There is.
There are some that I definitely like more. Like for me, just quick commentary. See, it's interesting. Like I know that there's sort of that accepted thing where the peak is that you said before and kind of goes with Lion King, and then the second half of the 90s is a bit more wonky. But that's kind of when Disney maybe felt so confident after their run that they started experimenting more, and that's where some of my favorite movies come from. The stuff that I probably was at just the right age for, and it's like you got Hunchback, Hercules, Mulan. I love those movies.
Yes, and I would say out of those three, I don't think I was a big Hercules fan. Hunchback was
I know
as a kid, I just
shouldn't be a kid's movie.
Didn't get it, but I did really like Mulan. Mulan is one of the ones I really did like, and then a little bit later in the Renaissance. I don't even know if it's in the Renaissance.
Tarzan.
No, I didn't really like Tarzan. Is Emperor's New Groove.
Emperor's New Groove is great.
I don't know if that's the Renaissance or the next stage after that.
I think that's at the cusp because I think the Renaissance ends at 2000. Okay. So I think right then, and then you got the Treasure Planets and Atlantis and But yeah, I kind of liked that when Disney was really trying to push it a bit, and that's the stuff that stuck with me. But I do agree that the culmination of Lion King is really, really good.
Yeah. The first movie I saw in theaters was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Oh, another Disney.
Yeah, in a re-release.
Huh. Yeah. That's awesome. Obviously not 38 or whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
After Lion King, we have a Pixar movie.
So okay, basically Disney.
Disney adjacent. 2009, Up.
Oh.
In number 17 spot. It's the saddest opening of any Disney movie, yet somehow it recovers from that to have a fun, heart-touching adventure between a very unlikely friendship of the older man and the young Boy Scout, between Carl and what's the old man's name?
Oh, I honestly don't know. I gotta watch Up again.
And then you have Doug, the talking dog. That's really funny. You have Kevin the bird.
Just another beautiful Pixar movie. It almost speaks for itself. And I was thinking because I think Dan mentioned it on his. Did he mention this list? Yeah,
Up was on his.
You guys got some repeats, and I didn't think of it at the time. You brought it up as an interesting friendship because it's kind of cool. You have those two people relating who got the very old man and the very young kid, but they still have their similarities and their points of connection. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it takes a while to get there. Yeah. I forget the guy's name, but the old man is doesn't want Carl the Scout to be around at all in the beginning, and then slowly he grows on him, and then he gives him his little grape bottle cap badge at the end.
And the balloons, man. That's
it's an original concept that you never even thought of, but it's also something like a kid would think of.
With a bunch of balloons, in the house, that just seems like pure small child purity of. I think that's really cute, and that's just a great, almost iconic image in itself. But can you? I don't know if I mentioned this to Dan, but I'm going to bring it up again because as Up is very good. Obviously, I think Up is a fantastic movie. I need to watch it again so that I can probably get on this bandwagon. But no, it's a great choice. But there is always one thing about it that always bothered me, and I don't forget if I mentioned it, is the villain. He's a good villain, but how old is he supposed to be?
I know.
And that's the one thing I'm like, it sticks out to me every time. Like he's this, and it's not like he's like if he was really old and decrepit, like maybe, but he's physical. He's in better shape than the main character, and so I'm always like, is he drinking some weird fountain of youth juice and jumble?
Maybe he is at Paradise Falls. They never explain that, and it's something that you're like, okay.
I know
it's just one of those things that you just have to kind of
accept.
And
I get that, but that's one thing for me that I always was just like, is there an explanation or a theory? I'm sure someone's done a video or something, but yeah, man. Best short film ever made, for sure.
Yeah.
The beginning. Saddest.
Saddest.
Great movie.
I mean, and Pixar strives at making short films. Yeah. So I'm not sure.
What if it was born from that concept?
Maybe.
Like we have this really hard-hitting scene. Maybe we should make like a nice movie, build off of it.
Maybe.
I could believe it. Couldn't you? Because you feel like somebody directed and was like, they got this concept. Oh, this is really good. Also really sad. So we can't just have this.
Yes.
So maybe they were thinking sad short to another movie, combined ideas from that, and then joined the plots.
They could have.
I could totally see that.
I could see it as well.
That's awesome.
So number 16, 2012, another one from Dan's list, Silver Linings Playbook. It's not your traditional rom-com. It's more grounded.
You know what? I wouldn't even say it's rom-com. It's like a romantic drama, really.
Yeah, but it's also very funny.
Yeah.
So
would you say it's... How about it's just
a rom-dramedy?
A rom-dramedy. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. But I'm from the Philly area. Mm-hmm. I'm an Eagles fan, so all that really hit home for me. Mm-hmm. It's a great family dynamic. It's like crazy, but they love each other. And then the cast is great. You have Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, De Niro. You have Chris Tucker being hilarious. First Chris Tucker movie that I laughed at in a really long time.
Oh. With his scenes specifically.
With his scenes, yeah.
So you're not a big Chris Tucker fan?
I wasn't a big fan of the Rush Hour movies, and then after that, he didn't really do anything.
Did you ever see Fifth Element?
Oh, I did see Fifth Element.
He's a pretty big part in that.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of funny.
I would say that was B. Chris Tucker's best movie.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Did you like the part where he kind of fades as a ghost in the background with that edit in this movie?
Yeah.
The best part?
Yeah. So 2006, Slither is in the number 15 spot.
Ew.
Another horror comedy. It's directed by James Gunn, who went on to do Guardians of the Galaxies. He's doing the Suicide Squad, the movie that comes out soon. Mm-hmm. But Nathan Fillion's in it. I love Nathan Fillion. Elizabeth Banks, great. You have Michael Rooker in there. It's very original in its creature world building that they have for something.
Creature feature movie.
Yeah, something that came out in 2006. I feel like this is very original for what they were doing with it.
The interesting thing about Slither, it's a movie that kind of, one of those type of movies that fascinates me because it is an original concept, but it's trying to do like sort of your 1950s monster thing, but updating it, making it more gory and I like when they do that. And, I watched it one time.
Okay.
And I do think it's a good movie, but I never wanted to watch it again. You know why?
Why?
I thought it was so gross.
It's very gross and gory.
Great effects.
But great effects. They're very practical as well.
Yeah, that's why they look so
good.
But
it's also very funny. Yeah.
I think when I went in to see that, I was expecting it to be more straight horror. So maybe that was my expectation because I didn't love it as much as I was expecting to. But that's one I need to rewatch.
Yeah. Because going into it, I didn't really know what to expect. But then with Nathan Fillion and the cop, and in the beginning, I was laughing a lot, and I'm like, okay, I think this is supposed to be horror comedy.
I guess it is.
Yeah,
good one.
Yeah, and I don't think I would have known what to expect from a horror comedy if it had been for Shaun of the Dead a couple years prior.
See, there you go. That was your appreciation for that.
Nice. And then we have 2004. The Incredibles in number 14 spot.
Pixar,
Now they're a Pixar movie. It's Pixar's takes on the superheroes. It's actually good world building of superheroes. Like, it's something that you don't really see that much of having that many superheroes and having them being outs by the public for causing injuries when they're trying to save people.
Especially on the big screen.
Yeah.
At that time, like, obviously in comic books they would kind of, this is like right after the time where they would start playing around more with the idea of like, oh man, what if superheroes are bad and the government hates them, and that's so Incredibles kind of came in right when that was becoming an explored topic, so that's kind of cool. And now I feel like every show that's comic book based does that now. Like, oh man, but you're right, the world building was really good, and also that sort of retro feel to it.
Yes, cool. It's also like, I think that's also like, it takes place in like a little bit dated at time, and I don't think they ever say when it was,
like 50s-esque maybe.
50s-esque. So it'd be like during the original Superman run, but like with more Supermans, and like what would they do? And then it like pokes fun at it a little bit with the whole cape thing, but it's also
the
love.
Cape gag's great.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
The voice acting is great as well.
I'm actually kind of happy to see it on the list. Is this your first superhero movie on the list, technically?
I guess so.
I think it might be. So yeah, I'm glad to see it put out there because I do think it's one of Pixar's best movies.
Yes.
But I don't think Incredibles is appreciated as much.
No. For a while I think it was very underrated. But I feel like
But they were doing humans, so like that
they
was
were
a big
doing
thing.
humans, and I think more and more people saw it, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is great, this is great, this is great." And then eventually Pixar was like, "Okay, it is great. We'll make a sequel." And I thought the sequel was good. It's not as good as this one, but it was fun to see the Parr family back.
Is that your favorite thing about the movie? Is it the family dynamic?
It's great family dynamic. Jack is great. And I mean, it's something that you don't really see with the superhero comic booky movies with of having kids with superpowers and them dealing with it and having to hide it, of like the little boy that could run fast, dash, and him like running in the race at the end that he can't win but he can't lose type of thing. But like just their whole dynamic in the thing is like the older sister wants to take care of them but doesn't really, like, they're kind of annoying. You don't really see that in anything superhero that much.
Not really, or it's corny.
It's corny, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with some of the superhero television shows that have come up
now more,
but you didn't see that in.
Is it of the? Would you say it's the best Fantastic Four movie?
It is Fantastic Four, but there's 5 of them.
Fantastic Five.
Yes.
I mean, that's, it's a trick question. Of course, it's the best one.
Yes. But they have some different powers. I mean, some of them are the same.
But it's the family dynamic of superheroes is
yes.
very much where that comes from. Although that wasn't really kids, though, I guess, technically.
No,
so that was still different.
Yeah.
Which one was your favorite power of the group? Which one do you want to have? Not Jack because he's got all of them.
He has all of them.
Can't say that.
I think they did. I don't know. Speed would always be great, but I think Violet's power is probably the best one.
The Invisible Woman.
She's invisible, but she also has force fields.
She's got a pretty good one. She'll be powerful later on, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, moving on to number 13, we have 2005's Serenity. I'm wearing a shirt, Firefly.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even see
it.
Yeah.
So it's the movie sequel to my favorite television series, Firefly. It's a space western. It's great. But they set it up that you didn't actually have to watch the television show to appreciate the movie. If you did, I think you would appreciate it more. But they changed some stuff in the beginning from the television show to kind of sum it up a little bit so that you could be on board with the movie.
Tim, I'm very happy you put this on the list. Okay, first of all, I mean, I don't need to tell you, obviously, because you said your favorite. Firefly's great.
Yes.
It's a fantastic show. Like, on a really good show. Can't too early, blah, blah, blah. We don't know. I saw Serenity first years before I knew there was a show. I just was like, okay, this is because I like sci-fi. Oh, this is a sci-fi movie. It looked cool.
So were you lost at all?
No.
Yes.
I was like, I get it. I know what's going on. This is a great sci-fi movie. Years later, oh, it's actually the sequel of a show. What? Firefly. Take me. I know it's like, that's And then I'm like, then of course, watch the show. Obsessed. There's no more show, but watch Serenity again. Appreciated it more. So, you think that it's okay? You said that you think it stands alone well. I've always thought, based on my experience, that it really was a well done, perfect cap to the show, and they somehow managed to juggle everything together. Would you say that it was a good sequel?
It's a good sequel, but I appreciate them setting it up because obviously they changed a couple things that happened between Simon and River because in the show Simon wasn't part of the rescue, but he was in the rescue in the movie. So they changed a little bit up. I was perfectly fine with that. Yeah, because they're changing some things, but I think they needed that to show the brother-sister dynamic right from the start and not go through 12 episodes.
To them getting closer,
yeah, I think that was a smart way to do it. But, I mean, it's a cap for it, but I also, like you said, you didn't know it was a television show, and it works well as a space adventure. And, I mean, all the characters are great from the television show. They're still great in the movie. They have the whole dynamic of basically a family working aboard this spaceship known as Serenity.
Yeah, it's just really... It's really good, man. I will admit, I feel like it is definitely a movie that is served by having watched the show.
Yes.
Like, I can't say, like, when I watched it, I was like, this is very good, but, didn't really know I was missing anything, but it definitely adds on. Like, this really should be seen. It's a sequel of the show.
Yes.
It is. It's episode 14, the extra 2-hour-long, like, special. It's what it is, basically. So that's what it should be viewed as, but as a standalone movie, still works really well.
Yes.
So it's like I don't know. I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
Do people not like Serenity? Because I never heard that, but I think there are people that were disappointed or something. No, it didn't do well. I know
it didn't do well because
nothing Firefly related does.
Well. No, because I don't know why.
I don't understand.
Because there's so many brown coats out there, but for some reason they didn't go.
When I went to the con in Philly a couple years ago, like the part of the convention that was their panel was the biggest, and we were standing in the back. There were like thousands of people, and like, oh yeah, nobody ever sees this stuff. What?
I don't know. Yeah, I saw this in theaters, obviously, multiple times, and it was great. But that is why I love Nathan Fillion. I found him there. I know he was on Buffy prior to this, but I don't really...
Minor
role, but I don't remember him from that. Going back and watching Buffy, I'm like, oh, there's Nathan Fillion.
Wasn't the best season.
But I love Nathan Fillion. I watch everything that he does now. Basically, anybody from here, I will watch what they do. I might not be on board for the whole time, but...
Okay. All right. Well, then I got to... Well, I don't know if it's a separate question. You give me them. So, who would you say your favorite actor or character from is that you follow all their shows then? Or movies or whatever?
I mean, I follow... Alan Tudyk. Alan Tudyk is great. Wash. I mean, he's on a television show right now, Resident Alien, which I find hilarious. I mean, the guy that plays Simon, he doesn't really do much.
No, I don't think so.
But
I really like what's that?
Jane. Adam Baldwin. He was on Chuck for a while.
Oh, yeah, Adam Baldwin, of course, is great. But it's I can't believe I'm forgetting her name because I like her. Wash's wife.
Zoe,
yeah.
Gina Torres.
Yes. Yeah. Gina, I love all her stuff.
She's currently on 911 Lone Star, the spinoff. She was guided on season 2.
Did her Suits spinoff last or no?
I don't think so. I mean, I did watch some Suits. I kind of grew out of that a little bit. I liked the first couple seasons, and I kind of... I
think that's about... I'm only 2 or 3 seasons in, so...
Yeah. I mean, it was on USA. It's kind of hard to follow things on USA sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun show. Jewel State doesn't do much these days either. She was on...
Who was the... I think my favorite character in that show and was probably the shepherd, the priest guy.
Shepherd Book.
Yeah, Book. Yeah.
He passed away a couple years ago. So he didn't really do much.
I don't think I saw him
I mean,
much
he like, I guess he kind of did like just small movie roles, small like television roles, nothing like.
If I remember correctly, he wasn't in the movie too much, was he?
He had a small role in the movie.
Yeah, I think I was like, I wish he was in it a little more, but because he was my favorite.
Yeah. But everybody's great.
Yes, great show, great movie.
Yeah, Summer Gal. I watched the Terminator television show because of her.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Cool. Moving on from Serenity, we have 1994's Clerks in the 12th spot, another one from Dan's list.
Man, overlap.
Yeah. It's day in the life of clerks / cashiers. Anybody who's worked any type of registered job knows
dealing with the
customers, and it's
that sort of environment,
that type of environment, slice of life, and also like kind of has like real conversations that you would have with your coworkers,
with people.
Yeah,
and that's, I guess at the time, that's one of the things I guess
like,
Kevin Smith and maybe to a certain extent Tarantino, like these conversations that these almost mundane minutia. But you didn't hear them in movies that much because everything's so big and grand. And
you don't hear about all the contract workers on the new Death Star
random geeky conversation
that died when they blew up the second time.
Yeah, no.
So the dialogue was relatable. It was also very filthy and raunchy, and it was probably the first time I ever saw anything like that. I obviously didn't see this in theaters. I saw it on home video with my sister, and like. I love this. I loved Mallrats, Dogma, Chasing Amy's was okay. And Jane Silent Bob was okay as well. But I was a big fan. Me and my buddy, we actually went and visited the Real Quick Stop where this was filmed in Red Bank, New Jersey. We took a little pilgrimage out there, bought some stuff. But like walking in there, you're like, oh my God, this is not how I envisioned it at all. Like the whole wall on this side is like slanted in like this way, kind of like as like kind of almost like a triangle shape, and like he filmed it in a way that you didn't see that. Like,
I thought it just looks like a normal square.
Yeah, but no, it was like a weird shaped triangle. Building.
Well, he utilized what he had to work with well.
And I was like, okay. And I get it. It's like a series of vignettes.
We talked about that recently. The truth was it's not that good.
No, it's still good. And for the budget that he had.
No, it's fine. And I guess you could argue that any movie is a series of events to an extent. But it's more isolated vignettes.
Yes, it's more slice of life type of commentary.
Which is cool.
Yeah. So... I really like Clerks. I mean, I think Kevin Smith's career has
veered weird places.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's still a good director. I just don't know if he's that great of a writer that he's writing his own stuff. If he directs some some Arrowverse stuff and stuff like that, and I think he does that well.
I think he could do more stuff. I don't. The weird thing, did he write Red State? I don't know, but that was a good one. So I don't know. He needs to do more stuff like that, I guess.
Okay, moving on. This is the newest one on my list. 2017.
Pretty fresh.
The freshest one in 11th spot is Coco, another Pixar movie.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and I feel like this is almost the best world building that they have with the afterlife of the underworld type of thing, the flower bridges that they have, how people go from skeleton to real life with the ghosts and everything like that. Applaud them for having a full Latino cast, except for John Rathensberger. It was a cameo here.
That's fine. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, he's a good luck charm. The songs are great. It's a very sad ending, but it's also, I feel, the best animated one that they had.
Like in terms of pure animation?
Of beautiful animation.
Yeah, I think that, I watched it not that long ago. I didn't see it when it first came out, but that's the thing that when you said it, that's what just sticks in mind is visually,
visually it is
that's impeccable.
Amazing.
I loved it.
The old Coco lady is so well done.
The grandma with just the level of her, the wrinkles,
yes.
I agree. I was thinking about the grandma too. Do an old woman well, and just think about how Incredibles. It was they just came off of doing action figure stuff. It's still very smooth, round, but now it's like they can get more to the skin detail.
Yeah, I just think it's really well.
It's a beautiful movie, and also I think a powerful message, and it pulls on your heartstrings. It's got some of the biggest punches of Pixar stuff.
Yeah, and twist of a villain as well. I mean,
classic, not so Disney twist.
Yeah. I think it's just so colorful and bright and vibrant. So
how about how, to your knowledge, was Coco in development before Book of Life?
No,
because I guess that has to be brought up a little because
I think it just happens usually around the same time. Book of Life hit theaters before this, right?
A couple of years, I think. Yeah.
So I think it was in development. It's just the same thing as like you have Finding Nemo come out, and then like a year later Shark Tale come out. Obviously, they were in development at the same time. You have Deep Impact, you have Armageddon coming out the same summer. Like I think it was just the same thing.
Okay, we'll say it was a coincidence.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Because these things take like at least 3 years for them to
probably develop it and come up with ideas. Yeah.
I mean, talking about Frozen again, you had Frozen, and then 4 years later, Frozen 2 came out. I think it was 4 years in between.
Yeah.
But they knew right away they were making a sequel.
Oh yeah, they were like, this can be.
They're like, okay, yeah. So just takes a while. Okay, number 10, 1997's Fifth Element.
So, you faked me out. You faked me out.
Yes, Fifth Element. You have another great world building of the future New York City.
That's a very Gilliam-esque kind of future.
Yeah.
Combined with like Blade Runner and stuff. That's a lot of that.
Yeah, and it works really well. And like the effects still hold up well because they used mostly practical effects. They used a little bit of CGI.
Camera, yeah.
Wills is great. Gary Oldman is great as a villain. Chris Tucker, best movie.
And it's Mila Jovovich's best movie.
Mila Jovovich, by far, it's what got her
a career.
Her career, and then she hasn't lived up to this, sadly. I liked the first Resident Evil movie.
I thought it was okay.
I thought it was okay. I thought it was fun.
I don't, not to go off on a tangent, but like that's one of those movies. It's kind of like Transformers or Fast and Furious. Or I guess people like those, but like I think it's almost like known they're not good, but people still seem to see them. They make tons of money. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
People that play the games hate the movies. So
I thought the first one was okay, but after that, like it just went downhill.
Yeah, but she's great in this.
I mean, she's a good action star. When she's got what she's got, she can do it. But
stunts, and she's got some presence and comedy. And,
but I don't know. It is
very creative and unique, and it's definitely one of the most unique sci-fi movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, and just the future world that you have, like Wilson's apartment and how compact that is, and like how things like that. And it's like very clever and smart.
Like where the fridge is with the closet,
the fridge, and then the shower and the freezer, kind of like
the same almost. And I like when they're traveling,
auto wash.
And the auto wash. Yeah. When they shove them in there. And when they're traveling in deep space, like they're compartmentalized, like laying down these little tubes, like. That is interesting. That design of like efficiency, because there's so many people. We're so overpopulated, and it's cool because you got that really dynamic world, but it's the classic good versus evil. Do you like the fact that and it's been pointed out to me? It's like it's a great movie, but it's one of the few movies where the hero and villain never meet.
Yeah,
they never meet, and I think that's great.
That is great. I mean, I think that's very unique for them to do that. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a movie like that.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like you have a clear main villain, and any other movie they'd have a shootout, they'd have monologue exchange. They aren't even aware of each other's existence, that they're working against each other.
No.
And they almost meet, they like almost cross paths, but that's really cool. And man, Gary Oldman. Man, Zorg. Just is he method? Because he just becomes other people.
I don't think he's method. I just think
really good.
He's a good character actor that he blends in so well that you'd be like, oh, Gary Oldman's in this movie. Wait, what? Gary Oldman's in this movie?
But I think that's great acting.
Yeah,
like he's just
that is very great acting.
I think he's one of the best.
Yeah, for a year, like I've loved this movie. I saw it in theaters. I think I saw it at $1.50 place because.
Oh, okay.
And then for years I didn't know it was Gary Oldman. Like, I didn't know who Gary Oldman
well, the
was.
makeup and the plastic thing.
But then once you learn who Gary Oldman is, it's like, okay. And then going back and you're like, oh my God, that's Gary Oldman.
And Ash again, Ian Holm.
Yeah. Ian Holm is like, he's the connection of the villain. And the hero.
You're right, because they meet each other.
They meet each other.
You know, another thing too that I really liked is the I really love the like ancient aliens that have the elements, like they're weird because they're obviously got the Egyptians might have seen them, and because they got the weird snake things. They're the most unique aliens. They're just so well done, and I wish there was more of them. They're just in like that one scene.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, they make such an impression.
Yeah, and I like the commentary of the future as well. Besides the compactness of it, is just like. They just kept building higher and higher.
Because of levels
of like the smoke. He's like, we can lose them in the fog if we get the smog
levels.
if we can get there. And he's like going down, and then
That's
you finally
classic.
get down there. I'm like, oh man, no one lives down there because there's
It's
so much
so
smoke.
polluted
We just have to we just keep building higher and higher
instead of fixing the problem.
Yeah.
We just that's bad.
Yeah,
that's great.
So I mean, I think it's a smart movie and it's a fun movie.
Corbin Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, it's Bruce Willis being Bruce Willis, but I mean, he does it so well in that movie.
Yeah, and it's weird. Once again, a Bruce Willis type, but it's so well done. I don't know.
Yeah, and Bruce Willis is great at being the everyman
character,
hero, like
John McClane.
John McClane, yes, like that's what made him a star. Is because I mean, people can relate to Bruce Willis because he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger or Sylvester Stallone. He gets injured, he gets hurt, he gets beat up, but he keeps going. And you're like, okay, I can relate to that, opposed to being like a 6 foot, 6 foot muscle bound guy,
giant machine guns, rocket launchers. Yeah,
you can't really relate to that. I mean, Predator is a fun movie, but
it's
you
not
can't,
the same. Yeah.
It's not the same. You can't relate to it. Moving on to number 9, 2010's Toy Story 3. The third. It is the best end of a trilogy, of any trilogy. Yes, they made a fourth one, but
I get it. It's true.
Yeah, it's heartwarming. It's sad. It has the best villain of the Toy Story franchise, and then also like he's unexpected because he's a cute, fuzzy
he's a bear,
teddy bear. And the franchise teaches us to not judge a book by its covers, because then if you call this back to the first one, like you have the scrap toys that you like think are
horror
villains.
Monsters,
the horror monsters, the doll head with the erector set type of thing. You're like, oh, those are the villains, but they're not. They're nice, and you're like, okay, you can't always judge people.
That's good.
Yeah. And I mean, the last 15 minutes of that movie are just like, you think they're gonna. You think that this is it, but it's not. And then you have the whole scene after that where Andy has to give them all away to Bonnie. You're like, oh my God. Like, it felt like I was giving away my toys.
Yeah, that's very good. And I mean, I think it was relatable to everybody. But the cool thing about it, watching Toy Story movies, was that, I obviously grew up kind of watching them. And I was just at the right age where, like, Toy Story came out when I was pretty young. Saw the sequel. Years went by, and I was, like, going to college. So it was like right around the time where I could sort of relate to Andy giving away his toys. It's like this passing of his childhood. It's just such a relatable thing what these toys represent about growing up, but he gives it to somebody else to enjoy. It's beautiful, and I mean that's some heartwarming and heart-wrenching stuff.
Yeah.
I guess it's both, but I mean I do think that is a great ending. But I did talk to Dan about like they wanted to burn those toys.
I know,
and there's a part of me that's like. It's like I said. I think they could have done it. People would have. I think they would have flipped.
I don't think they would have done it.
I think they could have done it, and people would have flipped out. But years later, it would have been like. I think it still would have been a masterpiece.
Yeah,
I think so. Different reaction, but I think that they could have still done it.
Yeah,
because of how well done everything building up to was, and that scene, like in that moment, I believed it. Yeah. Like I believed they were gonna do it, which they probably could have done it.
I guess they could.
And then I would have been like, oh man, this is sad, but. I don't know. And maybe that would have been too dark. But
it might have been a little too dark.
But Disney and Pixar, it's weird. Despite their brand, sometimes they go really dark.
They sometimes go very dark, but usually
they try to.
They recover from that a little bit.
Try.
Yeah. And then shout out to Michael Keaton joined the cast as
Ken.
Ken. Great addition. But I mean, to talk about the fourth one of why they made it, I feel like this trilogy ends Andy's story,
Sure.
where the fourth one ends Woody's story.
That's fair. That's fair.
Which it makes sense. I was like, why are they making this fourth one? Why are they making this fourth one?
Yeah.
But you watch it,
makes sense.
It's still good, and it ends Woody's story. Where I feel like this one, it doesn't end Woody's story because he's going with Bonnie now, but you don't know what that is, and you're like, okay, well, the fourth one kind of takes that.
He's still kind of going with whoever he's attached
Yes.
to, what he's kind of looking to do.
Yeah.
And, Buzz hasn't really had a lot to do for a while. I guess his thing was in the first movie, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, he became more of a side character, but
Yeah, but I mean, they did him so well in the first movie with his growth.
well, he's always there.
Yeah, but I know as a kid, I was
Yeah.
of course always a Buzz Lightyear fan. The sci-fi astronaut guy, he has been regulated, but it doesn't take away from the movies. But just something I noticed.
Well, in the third one, he had like Woody was off with Bonnie, and
He had sort of
and he was trying to rescue people, and they took out his settings, and he became
Spanish speaking.
Spanish speaking.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
it was funny.
It was good.
So moving on to number 8, another Pixar movie, 2008's WALL-E.
Wow.
Yeah. It makes you fall in love with a robot that can only say his name.
It's adorable.
It's adorable, and like, how does Pixar do it? Like, how do you feel emotions for this robot that can't say anything except for his name, and then he can't even say Eve's name right, and he's like, Eva. And they fall in love, and you're like, okay, I'm on board with this robot love, but yet it doesn't make sense really, but for me, it makes sense.
But they sell it because they managed to create characters based on the pacing of, once again, great world building with all the junk and doing it all without dialogue, but the using the eyes, the sound design, and they managed to bring life to these robots and you're right, they make a robot love story believable, and you're on board and you want to see it happen. No, WALL-E's great. That's another one I need to rewatch.
Yeah.
It's great. And all right, so I have to ask, because I always ask everybody, there is kind of that little debate about WALL-E. You're typically either a first half of the movie person or a second half of the movie person, I hear. You prefer one or the other. Some people don't like the first part as much because, no dialogue, they can't get behind it, or some people don't like all the commentary about the people on the ship eating too much and all that stuff. Argue it becomes two different movies in a way?
I think it works, though.
Okay.
Clearly. I feel it works. I mean, you have the commentary, because the first half is more of a commentary about over-pollution type of thing and destroying the world, and then the second one is people becoming too reliable on technology and not being able to move and being overweight and stuff like
classic
that.
Sci-fi tropes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it works. It moves from one to the other, and I feel like WALL-E and Eva, they, and then even the little other robot Bernie, who's like trying to fix stuff. They bridge the gap, and then you also have another classic villain reveal.
Yeah, classic villain. I mean, you got another, Hal. He's sort of standing. What is the name of the robot? The AI on the ship? Do you remember?
I don't know. It's
it's a woman, right? Female voice.
No,
is it just robotic sounding?
I think it's a male robot.
I forget the
the autopilot. I forget what it was.
Okay.
And then moving on, 1995 is another Pixar movie, Toy Story, the original. Pixar after Pixar. I mean, Pixar hit it out of the park with their first movie. I mean, is the animation, the quality as great as what it becomes with the third one and Coco? No, it's not up there. But
doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter because they have the characters there, they have the heart there, they have the innovation there, and Pixar has done that time and time again. And
it's kind of the basis for everything Pixar does.
Yeah, and this is the movie that you fell in love with Buzz and Woody. Their friendship, it's an unlikely friendship, and they're kind of become friends, and they're butting heads at first, and it works so well that they made 4 of them.
I know, and it's great chemistry. And I think you were there. It was for that birthday thing at the theater that the movie we decided to watch after the Bill and Ted sequel was actually Toy Story. I
didn't stay for that.
I didn't stay for it, but I don't know why Dan chose that.
I was almost tempted to, but I was like, I need to get back and go to bed.
It was late, but I don't know why he chose Toy Story, but I got to see it on the big screen, and I'm glad I did because it reminded me of how good it really is.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person, like, I appreciate, the time things come out, and like just thinking of the mindset of 95, even just looking at it, like the fact that they did it, it's groundbreaking. It's astonishing. I love it.
Yeah. I saw it in theaters with my family. My mom loved it. It's one of her favorites. She loved the army men, how they're walking around with like the thing.
The plastic thing on the bottom.
When we were in Disney one time, they have a Toy Story like parade at one point, and she's like, "We have to be there. We have to be there." And so we were somewhere in the park, and then she's like, "Oh, we're not going to make it." I'm like, "We'll make it," and we get there just in time. They had people in the Army Man thing that looked exactly like that, and like the detail that they had was amazing. Awesome. Like they even from the movie, like you have like the little plastic mold left over on their backs that you have. Like the detail is such great, and like anybody who watches this can relate to it because everybody imagines their toys coming alive. That's like always something that they think about and they dream about, and like the imagination, like the Andy playing with the toys, all those scenes that they have are just great.
I can't dispute that at all.
So Toy Story was number 7. Moving on to the last one that we're going to talk about, number 6.
Wow, we got there.
And this one's going way back to 1943's Arsenic and Old Lace.
One I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So it's a film adaptation of a stage play. Okay. It's in black and white. It has stars Cary Grant. I saw this play in high school, and I thought it was very funny. And then I saw the film adaptation, and it's still really funny. It's directed by Frank Capra. It's one of those kind of like, it's just, obviously since it's a stage play, you have one set, that's all you have. And just like, the things just keep happening. Cary Grant, he's just like, his reactions, it's just very funny. Like, bodies being hit all over the place, and like can't believe what his grandmas are doing, and then like the villains come in, and it's like kind of a standoff of like, if I know what you know, but do you know what I know type of thing. It's very clever, it's very funny. It's one of my go-tos. Makes me laugh all the time.
Wow.
A lot of running gags in it, type of thing.
Okay. So, well, that's interesting. So that's like in your top 10. So
yes.
Most of your movies have been more modern. Why this older classic one stands out for you, like old Hollywood?
I mean, I have a couple old Hollywood ones that didn't make my list. Like It Happened One Night is one of my classic ones as well. But this one's a little bit more funnier. Something that I didn't really expect. I think because I saw the stage play before, made me appreciate it a little bit more. I do like It Happened One Night, but it didn't make my tops.
Wow.
I mean, another 70s one I had watching a lot as a kid was Poseidon Adventure. That was another family one that we always watched, Gene Hackman. But, I mean, something about this one, it's short, it's sweet, it's very witty and smart and funny.
Well, I'm glad you like it clearly, and I'm sorry that the one you ended on is one I can't comment much about. Yeah. Well, do you recommend it? Do you think I'd like it?
I think you would like it. Yeah, it's very old Hollywood, but I mean, Cary Grant's a funny guy.
Yeah.
And Frank Capra is a competent director, and he does it well. I mean, I think there's a couple jokes that I didn't understand without reading a little bit. Like they make a reference to an actor who was in the stage play, but I didn't know that. But then afterwards, I was like, oh,
maybe
okay,
some
that makes
like
sense.
40s terminology, some slang or something.
Yeah, but I think it all still works. It all holds up. I mean, I feel like they probably still do the play these days.
Yeah, I think I'd heard of it, but as a play. I think I knew it as a play, not as a movie. Oddly enough, because I knew the title. Wow. Well, did you beat Dan somehow? I don't remember. I'll have to check. But wow, this seems like this is about the average. It's about 2 hours.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about your favorite movies, it's going to be a while.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming, Tim.
Yeah, no problem.
Sharing these movies. I liked a lot of them. I was happy to think about some of them. You mentioned some I haven't seen. Might have to check out. I think I'm going to do a couple more with a few more people, and somehow we're going to try and finagle, I don't know if it's a Zoom or...
We'll probably have to do it as Zoom.
Probably just with everybody together and talk about our top five. So hopefully that'll happen some point before the summer's over.
Probably, hopefully.
But yeah, knocking this out. And I think Peter might be next, so I'll figure it out.
Okay, yeah.
Well, hey, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching, listening, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Stay magical.